us will share our honest opinion. Together with me, I have able men and co-banters.
Yo.
Co-banters.
Yes, co-banters. Over here we have Israel. Israel, how are you today?
Very well, thank you. And you?
Very well. It's an amazing afternoon, but I want to ask you, how was your weekend?
Oh, my weekend was fun. I had a lot of rest. So.
Great. Efreta.
Hello, good afternoon on a beautiful afternoon. Thank you for having me.
And by my far left we'll have
the
light. Some as
yeah.
So, I mean, speak to the people. I want to hear from you.
Well, it's a good thing to be on a show whereby you can express your opinion and people can hear from you. I'm privileged to be here.
So he's actually a guest too, and I'm sure
well,
that
it's not for me guest. It's not for me guest.
in fact, the way we're going to have this conversation today, I hope you won't go home having one eye covered. Okay, so my far right.
Well, I'm Juvie. It gives me such an incalculable pleasure to be here.
Oh my goodness.
What is this?
Like that.
Well, I think it's just like that. Let's enjoy the banter.
I like that last few that he usually puts when he mentions his name. Juvie. All right, so welcome guys. Today we'll be starting with this very trending issue, NBA and portable. So it's been a lot of controversies on social media. That's how can you have a brand like portable at such an event, because it's a formal event where you have legal practitioners come together at the annual conference, and you have a brand like portable coming to perform. So, but then I start with Israel. What's your take?
Okay, so for me personally, I think it's a welcome development, and I want to give it to the organizers of the conference for this year, because the law profession serves everybody, serves every brand, every individual, regardless of your craft, regardless of how you want to, regardless of how you decide to bring out your craft. So it's a welcome development. So if a brand, the kind of brand that Portable represents has any issue in court and sees lawyer to stand in for them, why can't them invite in to perform?
I think that's a very logical angle you came up from.
You understand? If I patronize you,
yes,
you should also patronize.
Oh, I see.
So
that's a very logical angle.
To me, basically, it's a welcome development.
But a lot of people will disagree with you. What's your position, Efreta?
Oh boy. So at this point, I have confused because
Okay.
That was a key, actually. You just keyed
It killed.
Okay, so let's have the lights.
So I feel music is by arts and style. Over the years, music has evolved, and Afrobeat, as we have it major in Nigeria, has been able to cut down into different styles. Now, we have different artists with different styles. We have different artists with different audience. So I see NBA as a place designed for people with, will I say, high intellect, and people who do not like the street kind of vibes that all of us will like. So I feel that his audience were not just at that setting. So to me, I don't think that was the right
place for him
to be.
Okay, so let's have Juvie.
Well, Portable is a very controversial person. It's like, remember the last time he said something like, I'm a baboon in a zoo. You understand? Well, I don't. It's just there in the public space. So it's like you're having an evening occasion and someone walks in with ripped jeans, exhibiting stuff. And you understand? It's not welcome. And, the NBA is known for its conservatism. We respect people with wisdom, with the regalia and all that. So getting portable there, for me, it's out of place. Just very sore, very sore.
I think I want to come in here. You see the lawyers, the legal practitioners, they have a life. Learned partners,
my legal learned. You're doing something and you're making someone like.
Please calm down. So I'm just saying that they have a life outside
Yes,
their
outside
job.
the conference.
Yes.
If you remember, last year, I think
Outside
El
the profession.
Rufai was
Hold on
bad.
Hold on a bit. They have a place, a life outside,
Yeah,
profession,
the profession,
right? So because you mentioned strict jeans,
Ripped jeans,
jean
you know.
and all of that, I can tell you for free that we have some lawyers that they do that.
Outside
They put on
work, right?
Yes,
Outside work.
Outside
And
work.
if you saw the
They just
video,
wanna have a feel.
Portable was exhibiting his infantile
They
tendencies,
probably-
climbing the
probably
poles
might
and...
just
I think
want
I'll
to
have to
have
come
a
in at this
feel.
point.
Okay.
I think I'll have to come in at this point. And like I said earlier, in our society, I think it's high time we learn to respect brand for what they represent.
Yes.
So, at a particular point in life, because even by the NBA, there was a report, I read it this morning,
Okay.
that bringing Portable to that show was not to set any moral standard for the lawyer. It is strictly for entertainment. And don't forget,
All right.
calm down, don't forget that every conference, every event has an entertaining aspect. So why?
So
All right, hold on, Israel, don't rest yet.
So
Remember the same. All right.
So
So
let me tell you,
let me tell you, please, can I-
haven't you walked out of a church before? So
no,
anybody
no,
can-
no,
anybody-
no, no, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing.
Israel, that means you have
It's
walked
like-
out of a church.
Don't add this.
Okay, let's look at this.
Hold on, Grace, please.
Okay.
Even at the height of Fela Anikulapo Kuti's popularity and all that,
Yes.
he wasn't invited to such because you know him for who
that's
he is.
why I want to bring
It's
in
like
this.
bringing Portable to the
So
presidential
that's why I want to bring in
inaugural
this question.
speech.
So
Maybe he should
when
come display for the
I'm
president.
making a
Hold on. When we talk about compatibility,
Yeah.
so you look at the event, you look at the brands that is compatible.
Yes.
You look at the kind of people that fit in a particular setting.
Yeah.
You understand? So I am asking, does Portable now in his brand, does it fit in that
Capital,
If there is
no.
an entertainment aspect of the conference, I think
There are better people that would have been there. You know, Timmy Dakolo and the rest of them. You know, Johnny
So,
Drew.
good,
I mean,
good.
these
So now
are musicians that play music, art. I mean, they talk to you beyond just jumping around and exhibiting your
Sorry, can I
monkey
come in?
Yes,
skills.
When I see the entertainment industry, I see it this way. The people who you are providing service to are the employers. And the people who are the celebrities themselves, they are the staffs. Why? Because they can't be celebrities without the people.
Yeah.
So when you are going to perform for people, you need to take into consideration the people who you are going to perform
Yeah,
for.
the class.
So now it
The
does
taste.
your own opinion does not matter. It matters. All that matters is the people who you are going to speak to.
Yeah.
If they decide not to listen to your music, you won't be a celebrity. If they decide not to stream your songs, you will not be a celebrity.
Yeah.
So I feel that for every class or for every gathering, there should be a, okay, I'll give you an instance. You can't invite an Afrobeat artist to go and minister in a gospel setting.
okay,
It's not possible.
compatibility?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what I was saying.
So I'm looking at this discussion from that angle. So I'm not saying that I'm not discriminating Portable, but I just feel that that kind of setting does not fit in perfectly.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
out of place. It's like out of place for him.
Okay, for me, probably I'm neither here nor there. Because at some point, I want to agree with Israel saying that you just look at it from the aspect or from the point of inclusiveness. You just feel, okay, let's have this person, let's have a feel of this person, you know, more essentially when you are not looking at setting a standard.
No, hold on. Let's get the
Some of the
conversation
lawyers don't like
clean,
the
right?
jumps
Let's.
where
I
he-
think
Can
we should.
That's where-
You can't
that's
say
the
you
question I
take
want
out
to ask.
morality from law. How do you take away
So
issue of
that
morality?
was the report we got.
Moral
And-
philosophy
and-
takes
and
you
I want to
there.
say something.
Let's hear
Okay,
it.
so what?
It's not Efata. You don't say Efata.
Oh,
She's
no.
not Efata.
Alfreda.
Okay, let's
So what I'm saying is MBA is an association, right, of lawyers.
Legal practitioners.
Thank
Yes.
you. The entertainment does not downplay the
conference.
legalness. How will I put it in English? It does not at all.
Yeah, the kind of
So-
entertainment, however.
So what I'm
does-
saying is, Portable is not supposed to be in that setting. Do you get? Because first of all, they are these are lawyers. This is
Learned
Thank
people.
you very
Learned,
much.
learned,
There are other
learned
brands.
people.
We have
There are other
learned
brands
people.
that will fit
I want
into
to-
that.
I
We have
want to-
learned accountants. We
Let
have
me-
learned.
No.
Can I quickly
that's
say
all
this?
professionals.
Let me say-
all professionals I mean to say.
I'm a gospel singer, yeah.
Okay.
And let's say
Oh,
I'm
she
having,
sings.
Yes, I sing. So let's say I'm having a gospel, a
Yeah.
birthday or something. There are brands I'm not going to invite because
That's your
of my person.
That's your personal show. That's
Well,
your personal
So
party.
This
when
is
you now have
NBA.
this, when you bring people
This
together,
is
Let me
NBA.
say this.
Hello.
Who set-
Nigeria Bar Association has got standards,
Who sets-
right?
That's the word.
Or
Standard.
it upholds some standards.
Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. 1 minute each. Let's just have our take. Let's have our honest opinion, so
Okay.
we can move away from this topic. So let's start from you.
Okay, so like I said before, that's not space. So if I'm permitted to ask Mr. Israel here, who's disagreeing with us here, he said that that's you were talking about her. That's our personal show. Okay, for instance, if you are in a church setting, I'm telling you that 90% of church people who listen to worldly music. You get, it's not that they don't like it, but they can't just listen to it at that point
At that
in
point,
time.
true.
So if you are going to call Portable to come and be ministry, to come and be singing,
Very ministry.
Can you see? He will even come there and minister. Not sing. Can you see?
to come
Yeah,
and
right.
be singing to a group of, will I say, high class people. I doubt
Learned.
that.
I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Learned.
Okay, so
yes.
we can't be preaching oneness in this country. We can't be preaching unity.
Nobody's preaching their
No,
standards.
give me
Nobody's
time.
All right, sorry about
We
that.
can't be preaching oneness and unity and say we're one country. And a brand is being dragged for coming on an entertainment segment of an
An
event
event.
to entertain people. No. That's not the kind of society
So
we
what's your position?
My position is this. I still want to appreciate, quote and unquote, because there are reports that they didn't invite him and all those
Okay.
stuff.
He gets,
That is-
you obviously get crashed.
Okay, so no, because there's another report that NBA Abuja branch has released that Portable came there not to set any morality standard for the show. So I want to appreciate them for appreciating this brand. We have seen in this country where a particular brand became the brand ambassador. I know you understand the story.
Yeah.
In this country, in this same country,
Yes.
this shows
Because of
inclusivity.
time, I would have
This
loved to
shows
take that. but we'll do
unity.
that
This
some other
shows
time.
oneness. To me, there's absolutely nothing wrong.
All right, thank you. After
Okay, so I think that every brand has something that they represent. All right, and this particular brand, in the brand of MBA, it didn't join.
It's not bad enough.
Thank you.
It's not.
Okay, so
He's a baboon in a zoo. You understand? That place wasn't a zoo. So for me, it's out of place, out of order. It's out of entropy. It's like disorderliness. And so I would have.
okay, so
Well, I respect his talent, okay, and no disrespect to him, but it is out of place to get to our Portable thing.
thank you very much, Juvi. So when Juvi said he's a baboon, or how did
No, he said it
Because what-
himself.
Yes,
Yeah,
I just
he
want to
said it.
echo that was those words came from Portable himself, not Juvi saying
Nah,
this.
nah.
Let's get that very clear. Okay, so for me, I mean, I think I want to go a bit with Israel. That it's okay when we can accommodate ourselves. Let's have inclusiveness, but also there's a need for us to look at it very well and be sure that this will not bring any negativity or any harm to the other brand. So now I briefly want to talk about Two-Face. I think I saw a video where he was singing in the church and people were like, oh, I think, okay, it was on his Instagram page.
Yeah,
and
I think he said,
I think I'm going to open a church
Yeah,
now.
yeah, there have been churches.
So when someone
Snoop Dogg. I hope you know Snoop Dogg is born again.
So you see,
Supposedly,
it's a different
though.
ball game when you are saying someone is a born again, and it's a different ball game where you are still where you are, but you are now
mind
trying
you,
to.
Banky W2 is a pastor.
Yeah. So hold on, you never can tell.
So-
Probably Portable is studying, and tomorrow is going to be a legal
Well,
practitioner.
until then, right? Until then.
That will change the narrative.
Yes.
At this rate, we'll have like 10 churches in one street.
Well,
Oh,
all right, thank you very much. I think we've been able to place our honest position, made it clear, and I think the appropriate individuals that wants to make use of this would know how to channel them all together. So we'll be going on a short break at this moment. When we come back, we'll go right next on the following topic. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is the Banter on Souk News. Okay, so the next topic we want to look into, we'll be having a conversation around, is the new developments in Maryland, USA. So they want to include Yoruba language in their drivers and manual scheme. And I don't know, for me it's a good development. For you, I don't know what it is. But I really want us to have a conversation around this because it's way beyond just the language, if you ask me. So, Juvie, what do you have?
Well, I think it's a good one for Nigeria, not just Yoruba. It's Nigeria. We should start thinking of when you see a Nigerian out there, any Nigeria stuff, let's know it's one for Nigeria. Otherwise, we'll start thinking, so why the Igbo is not having it, why the Hausa is not having it there. For me, it's a good one, and I hope it continues. Nigerians are well-traveled, well-read, and we are almost everywhere, especially the Ogbomoso people. They are almost everywhere. You know, so
which one is especially
the Ogbomo? I mean, it's something you know. I mean, Ajala traveled all over the world. Ajala traveled all over the world. Yes, I understand. It sounds a little bit. Yes, it's almost everywhere. Go check it. Ogbomoso people, they are almost everywhere.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'd like to do. I'd like to read it. I disagree, right? Okay, so probably we'll come to that. I just want to.
Well, I stand corrected, though.
Better. So let me just read so we'll have a better understanding of what the conversation is all about. So the U.S. Department of Transportation's Motor Vehicle Administration will expand the Maryland's driver's manual and learner's permit knowledge test to include 9 additional languages, including Yoruba.
Our own Yoruba.
Other ones, we'll have Arabic, we'll have Russian, we'll have Hindi and Portuguese and all of that. So we are bringing it back home because Yoruba is a language, and we want to look into this. So you said it's a welcome.
It's a good one for me.
So I want to look at it from a different angle.
Okay.
So you know now you are a driver. I mean, if you look at it, well, I might not be correct, but a lot of people that drives, that does this driving job, you know, you hardly hear them speak good English, and you know they just want to be casual. They just want to be them. They speak Pidgin English, they speak Yoruba language, you know, and all the likes. So, and we've had a report stating the amount of people that have moved to the United Kingdom. The amount of people, I think I'm going to look for the figure now. The amount of people that received visa from the UK.
Yeah, in the first half of the year, 132,000 Nigerians.
So, if in
just the UK, not Egypt,
not US,
Ghana.
About, you know, no, let's even put Ghana is anybody can just say because it's close. It's our next door neighbor. They are our next door neighbor.
Almost every Nigerian.
Almost every Nigerian can just stroll into Ghana and come back. Oh, we are talking of South Africa, Kenya, and all those, you know, and all of that. Nigerians move every day. If only UK is having 132,000. You understand? Yes. So now they are now introducing Yoruba in the what's it called? Learner's permit knowledge test. You know, we know there used to be issue with, oh, I've gone for test, I didn't pass, because I know we communicate with people over there, so they can't do this, maybe the driving business. So when they know there is an access now, what do you think? And we're talking about brain drain.
Okay, to me, Grace, I would like to state that there's a slap on some agencies in the country that still tells you that you must speak lingua franca before you get a job. a slap on them.
Another
Because
one.
even in this country, there are places when you go to it, you must speak English. You must speak English. Our interview sessions are in English. Even our own driver's license. Do we get it in our native dialect? Even the lectures we received in school. I remember when I was in school, they tell you vernacular speaking is prohibited.
Now you get flogged. I used to flog people.
I paid
I was.
I just hope I can see that teacher. I'll collect it. So it is. You see, so if people outside there are appreciating and accepting what we have, I think we should have a reorientation.
Yeah, yeah.
Why can't we have a curriculum in Yoruba? Why can't they teach physics in my native dialect? I will understand better.
Do you know that we even have issues with because you can't speak good English, you can't get a business contract. Do you understand? You can't get a contract. You can't even get a job, even when you have the skill.
The skill.
You have the skill. You could do.
So the emphasis
perfectly.
is on.
I don't know.
No,
It's English.
Well,
the focus
English is a lingua franca.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with that. I'm also on the side that we should look inward and start to see if there are better things we could do in our own language, so we don't just subjugate ours to the background and always take other people's problem on our head. Do you understand?
I like the
It's a
word
good
problem.
one.
Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I think another angle that I'm seeing this from is that they are trying to include people. Because of including that language, they recognize that there are certain people or majority, for them to even include that language, that is, majority of the people there speak Yoruba. And now including these people can reduce miscommunication.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
rules
breaking the laws.
Yes, and it can also promote sustainability of roads, because accidents is what spoils roads.
Yeah.
So I feel that is a nice one, and other countries should be able to replicate this.
Yeah. Also, I think Freta before. I think we must understand that also in the States, they don't just come out with policies without, there are centers for African studies, so they've carried out research and all that before. You understand? Yes, and so Nigerians should look at
For
this.
me, I think that it's a very welcome. I'm seeing it from this angle. Nigeria to the world.
Yeah, it's Nigeria. It's Nigeria.
That's
Yeah.
I'm seeing it from.
Yeah,
Nigeria to the world.
We are rapping everywhere.
You get, so it doesn't. I feel like it doesn't matter the Yoruba is. I think okay. So I went to a secondary school where I had to also learn Yoruba.
Okay.
You get, so this language bias thing. I'm not. Well, Nigeria to the world.
Okay, so for me, I quite agree with you, but I think I have an issue with the jackpot thing. Because that is where for me, that's where I'm narrowing everything down to.
Okay.
We are saying that we need people to uphold our country and get things fixed. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a learned person, like an intellectual person, before you are able to put one or two things together. You understand? So looking at the transportation system, you can drive well, you can understand the rules, you can understand the rules of the game and all of that. If you are in here and you are doing it correctly, you can also extend your knowledge to those that are around you. So by the time you take that and you move away from your country, you go and put that into another country, you are investing into that country, living your own home, shallow and leaking and all of that. So for me, it's more of what can Nigeria as a country, what can we do, to keep our people?
Yeah.
Other countries are doing things to take us away.
No, I think that we can't really stop people from leaving. It's just that some governments, like in India, before you leave, there's the government getting involved in you leaving when you get out there, especially to the UK, because there is the high level of tech in India. They get you something you can do even when you leave, and people are ready to come home. Do you understand? But for us in Nigeria, I think one of our problems is once you leave, it's like Baba to Jati something. You're leaving the country.
I think one thing that we Nigerians should learn is that only the government can change this nation.
That's it.
So it's
an individual thing.
any nation that has become great or what it is today was done by the collaboration of the people and the government.
Yeah, public,
So if all of us-
public-private partnership.
Government will set the pace.
Yes, yes.
They will set
An
the tune.
enabling environment.
Yes.
I mean, if it was all right, people would not be traveling.
They will, but not at
Not,
that
I
point.
mean,
Not
to
at
this
this
level.
level.
To this level.
Because for even the number you said for
100 and it's still,
It
it's still.
it was about like 1 million self that applied for them
because
to
they don't
have
really.
granted.
And we're not done with the year 2023.
Okay, so for me,
Many more will still go.
so for me personally, I think the Japa syndrome, quote and unquote, is becoming more prevalent. Is becoming more popular, and though when you go to the last time I visited the airport, I see, I'm like, Shoja
Even need to go to the south.
Yeah, the
No,
embassies
as
and all
early
that.
as 4:30.
But
It's
then-
at 4 a.m. people
But
are there
then
queuing up.
I want to speak from a business angle now.
Okay.
I think these foreign governments, they're looking for a way to bring in more people.
I make more money.
Now, some people want to go before might see the challenge of speaking in English.
That's exactly
As
my
a barrier
point.
for
That's
them.
exactly my
But
point.
now that
They've
barrier has
lifted
been
that
broken.
barrier. So even when they're having
So-
challenge with what job will I do, they now know that I can go and
Exactly.
drive.
I think we must also
But
remember.
I'm just
All right.
thinking that in the next 2-3-5 years, we just see all these our agberos in Nigeria.
Well, they
You
can.
understand? But the bottom line is this: as a government, as the people of this country, we must look for creative way to keep our own.
That's it.
And if you can't keep our own, let's look for creative way to bring in people as well. Let
Well,
them come
from
and
where?
enjoy with us.
From where?
Enjoy, man. Let them
Well,
come and enjoy with us.
I think also we must remember that this is also creating job for some people in embassies and all that. I mean, if you're in Baltimore right now and you can speak Yoruba, you have, you know,
Yes,
it's creating
yes,
also
yes.
jobs
we
for
agree,
for
and
people.
of course, you have a return. You know, when they travel, you see them sending money to their families way
Yeah.
back home.
Yeah,
They
which
use for
boosts
upkeep.
our-
It also
our
boosts our
own
economy.
economy.
I quite agree, but I really want to say that if there's any better way for the government to, you know, put things together and help our people stay rather than running away from the country.
Well,
I think,
I think also Europe, Nigeria has a large number of young population.
yes, especially
And so these
students.
people have seen it. Guys, we need workers. Bring them in. And the economy seems to be way better.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
but with the whole foreign exchange and all that, and well, we only hope
Well,
things
I
get
think
better.
Nigerians also are doing too much to Japa because I was speaking with in fact, almost like many of my friends have learnt German languages, they've learnt other languages just so that they could be accepted into the country, depending on the criteria they are using to Japa. So most people are using scholarships, some people are using master. So for someone to go and learn a language from beginning, I think it's too much.
Yes.
Wow. All right.
Is it really too much?
Okay, so you want to add something? I think we want to move to the next topic if we don't have any other thing to add here. All right, thank you very much. We've been able to state our position.
Yeah, I would have heard that.
Okay, please do. Quickly do
Please,
that.
I think the number will increase anyway.
Is that what you want to add?
So the number is going to increase because this will attract more people,
True.
to attract more Nigerians to them. So while other countries are doing things to attract us, let us do things to also attract.
Yeah. That's it. Let's do things to attract other people to.
Yeah, I think on a final note, the government, I know it's not fair pushing everything to their table, but
True.
they must look at ways beyond end power. You win. How many more people are coming in creative ways? Let's not just go through 6 years, another 6 years, and you wait X plus number 4 years. You don't know how to make your own money. Probably if they included things like entrepreneurship, I mean serious, hands-on, not theories. I'm not saying theories. I mean, if we did all that, people will not wait for 20-something years before they start earning money, because out there you can start earning from as little as 6-year-old. I mean, 6 year. In India, I mean, young boys are, you know. So.
Okay, thank you very much, and that will be a wrap on this very topic. Oh, I mean, we are not done yet. So let's talk about the food distribution. The food distribution program. Ask me from where. Okay, so I'll just quickly read. Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu has launched a food distribution program to aid 5,000 vulnerable households in response to the fuel subsidy removal's economic impact. So that's where I want us to look at. But of course, he said the program offers 2 categories of support: bulk food items like 50 kg of gari and 100 kg of beans, and then food boxes containing 10 kg of gari and 5 kg of beans. So he has also acknowledged the hardship caused by the increased transportation cost and higher essential good prices, and mentioned let me take this. Okay, mentions other measures his administration has taken, like reduced transportation costs and free healthcare for pregnant women. So, but I want us to look at that food distribution program to 5,000 vulnerable households. So, how do we identify this household?
Vulnerable.
I want to be clear on the
Okay.
figures. Is it 5,000 or 500,000?
Okay.
Lagos has how many population?
Let me look at this again.
20-something million people.
Okay, so 500,000.
Yes, 500,000
Thank you. 500,000 house.
Vulnerable.
Yes.
Okay, I think to an individual, it may be really little.
Okay.
But considering the whole 500,000 number, the money they may spend on it will be much. But really, Gary, rice, how long will it take them for a family of maybe 4 or 5? How long will it
7,
take them?
8.
So is it that I even have this question to ask? He said 50 kg of gari, 100 kg of a bag of beans. Is it going into a household, like a bag to?
No, I doubt. Because the government, I know, they will still have to share it inside nylon and give.
I think I saw one around Badagry. They started sharing already. I don't just know why it's just making.
Yeah, I saw that. That one was not in bag.
And also, sorry, before you, how many of you have seen the eco rice thing?
Yes.
You've seen the stuff in the market?
Not in the market. Of course,
Okay.
saw
I only
videos.
saw the. Okay, only videos, right? Okay.
Okay, so while we
But also, let's start by saying it's commendable. I mean, let's not just whip them before we do the whipping. Let's commend them.
Okay.
so I want to personally I want to appreciate the Lagos State government for doing this. Actually, this is part of the palliative, and I think Lagos State government has been one of the states
Yeah.
that have always supported.
Yeah, BRT as well.
Hope
Our BRT,
During
right?
COVID-19,
Yes.
the Lagos State government actually supported a lot of states, even in this country. I think this is commendable. But another angle to this is because from the report I had, these things were created locally.
Okay.
Because from this report, it said that over 2,500 micro, small, and medium scale were involved in the bag manufacturing,
Okay.
food aggregation, packaging, and logistics,
Okay.
while over 25,000 employees of the MSMEs will be indirectly impacted. I
Okay.
think this is one of the measures to get people engaged, and this is highly commendable.
Yeah.
To me. It's highly commendable.
Hope it's sustainable.
But
It's another thing
my,
again.
my challenge is are there not better ways to do this? Is it sustainable? Just like you have
Yeah,
said.
it's.
I don't think it's
How long
sustainable.
would
How
that last?
long would that last?
And you
That's-
know,
that's
welfareism
the concern.
has a way of impacting your brain. You start thinking, so when next are we going to get free
Yes,
stuff?
yes.
You know?
Okay, so we know that all of this is because of the subsidy removal.
Yes.
So, and either we like it or yes, the way we see it, it means the subsidy removal is gone, just like the president pronounced on the day of his
Inauguration, yeah.
inauguration. So, and that's our belief today, that subsidy is gone. So, are we saying that this palliative or social support, how if that's the best way to put it, is this going to continue for as long as subsidy is gone?
removed? That's a question.
You understand?
Yes.
So
I don't think so.
that becomes
That's
a
sustainability
question.
we're talking about.
So in your own position, what do you think? What do you think should be done? How better can we?
Okay, so these 500,000 families, right? I don't know where their target is. Is
Okay.
it the how do we call it now? Is it
Now
the streets?
from the report said
Rural.
vulnerable. So I don't know.
So
Really,
that means it's
so-
actually the rural areas, yeah.
Let me tell you.
To an extent.
Really,
I
you
think-
have some people that are not even they are vulnerable, but they are not in the rural area.
Yes.
Honestly,
And
you see, I'm sorry, you see on the island where you have those big mansions, those
some
millions
slums.
and billions, you see some little
Slums.
houses around
Yeah,
them
yeah.
that when you get in there, you'll be like, what?
So I was
even
actually
at
shocked
the
when
swamp,
I went
so-
to Lekki
Yes.
at some point and I saw that there are places where men.
You think is this?
This is. I was
And you'll be
shocked.
asking if this is
And when you
this
say the
existing.
person, when you ask, I'm staying at Lekki. That's the thing.
That's-
But you won't know that
The
this is
Lekki
where the
guys,
person
There's
Lekki
Lekki
girls.
and there's Lekki.
They are covered
Le-
by the
Lekki.
grace
Okay,
of
so
Lekki.
another angle to look at this is how do the distribution, how is it going to look like?
Another thing.
Because
How is it going to
how
go round?
will it even get to the vulnerable?
500,000 Lagos
No, will
is
it even
over
get-
20 million, right?
Will it even get to the vulnerable?
By the last estimate,
It might not.
who are the
It might
vulnerables?
not. It might not even get to the vulnerable because you know this country now. You remember what happened?
What happened during
COVID-19?
yes,
Yeah,
You
when
understand?
we
So
I think there was an
think-
instance in Plateau now where people
beyond-
ransacked
Yes.
Juby, I
a
think
store.
beyond just making promises or making provisions for these food items, the government should look deeper into
Sustainability.
yes, and also ensuring that it gets to the people that really.
he actually talked
Need
about
this.
monitoring
But don't you
committee.
think it's everybody
Okay.
that
Yes, well,
Okay.
some people do not need it.
Are you
Ah,
sure?
do you need it?
Some people do not need
Do
it.
you?
None of us is part of the vulnerable.
I
You know.
think I think number one is not sustainable. We've all agreed about that. So the money could have been channeled into people who
Supporting-
people who bring these food items. Now there are expenses that they are going to spend. They will need to pay for the truck they are using, they will pay logistics, transport. So I think the money could have been used to fund all those things so that at least the cost of the food market, the cost of the food in the
market.
market will be reduced a bit.
So, I know. I
So
want
because
I
if you are going to be asking people who sell food items now, why is this thing high at a high rate? They tell you that the money that they used to transport it from where they brought it, or the people that collected money from them on the road, they give all manners of excuses. So I think the money like the transportation that we see, I entered the bus, I was surprised that it was 250.
yes,
Yeah, for
yes.
now, for another 6 months.
I
Yeah,
know.
let's
So,
enjoy
and
it.
That was that.
You say let's enjoy
So
it.
after
Let's
6
enjoy
months,
it.
what
I think
happens?
I think that is to me that might not really work because this is just a palliative. It is for a short time, and as soon as the economy bounces back, I think
Hopefully.
things will, yes.
Hopefully.
So what are those processes and place
So
that will
I don't
help
see
the
anything.
economy
I don't see
bounce back?
anything wrong in people in government
Trying
giving
to-
people food items because only in our palace and Yoruba palace said tí oúnjẹ bá ti kúrò nínú ìṣẹ́ ìṣẹ́ ló ṣe. So
When food, I want to help them.
when food is very important, when you have food,
When you take
then-
food out,
Yeah, when your
of
basic
issues,
needs are met.
you
And
know that-
so if you say they should add that money to transportation, if you still don't have the money, you won't
You
go and
cannot
the
buy
food.
food.
You get.
No.
You can't
I
buy
think to some
food.
extent
So-
I do not agree.
So can I go to the market without money and they give me food?
500.
No.
No.
So
Mr.
so
Ezra,
so the
No,
purpose.
Mr. Ezra, I don't agree
So-
with that.
I
And
also don't
another
agree.
thing.
I beg to
I
differ.
Another thing is
Okay.
this initiative was by the federal government.
Okay.
You get. So it is by the federal government. And there's some states that have even shared this rice, have shared this food item.
And the problem
so
is-
it might be difficult for states to divert. If I will even be the one to query the government.
Okay, so
if they try to
don't get it
divert the
twisted.
money,
Israel.
or if-
Israel.
Okay,
I think this is a different one.
This is
okay.
Yeah,
Because
this is
what
not
for
the-
Nigeria is
Just by
different.
the
Lagos
difference.
State Governor,
Okay.
Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has launched a
He
food
launched
distribution
it.
program.
Yeah.
So this is state
So this is
government.
from the yes, this is from
State,
the state government.
public and
So
private,
now,
partnership.
If I may come in here,
Okay.
for me, I do not agree with you. Like he said, if there are ways you could subsidize transportation, logistics for food items, I think now you set out from the house this morning to go out, probably come to this place or even go to your work and all of that. You got to the BRT station, you use your card. Ordinarily, maybe you went with the mindset of paying perhaps 600 naira,
Yeah.
and you tapped in, you saw it was 250 that
250.
was deducted. You understand? So the same way, if you are going to the market to buy any item, you have a price and you have a particular amount in your mind. You
Okay.
understand? So,
I
but
used
if,
to-
Do you even
wait,
know?
wait,
Do you
wait,
even
wait,
know
hold
what
on,
it
this is
means
where
to
I'm
be
going to.
vulnerable? Okay.
This is where I'm going to. So if you are able to reduce logistics, you know, and the food gets to the market, the price drops, and you get them. I was supposed to buy a cup of gari for maybe 300 naira, and I got it for 150 or 200. I'll be like, wow, that impact will be more intense for me than saying, okay, go and give each home a bag of rice or even a couple. That we don't even go around, because number one, you don't even know if I'm in need or not. You can't measure everybody that really truly in need. Yes, you can look at from distance, say, okay, people in this Ajegunle environment, because it is Ajegunle. Mind you, we have people that are living in that Ajegunle that are doing very well.
Yes.
That are doing very well. So just make it, let it go around. Let it just be across board.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Let me come in
that
here.
they don't get to eat every day.
Yes.
They eat every day. Now, what I'm saying is this: at least when they are going to buy the food items, they can get it at a cheaper price, and when they are getting it at a cheaper price, the quantity may be more than how they would get it
have
before.
bought before.
Okay. So I'm not saying
I think, hold on, let me come in here. I think, well, let's commend the government for even the efforts
Really,
to come
that
out,
I
all
give
right?
to them.
My concern is when the economy eventually bounces back, I hope it would impact the price of food. It will go down, because government is not, it's free market economy that we practice. So once it goes up, most times in Nigeria, it doesn't come down. You understand? A loaf of bread, the big one, is like 1,004 in my area. I know it's, I mean, and you're wondering like 1,004.
But there are areas in Lagos you can get it for 700.
It's not that one.
What kind of bread?
I don't know. The one of 700 naira is like this. I will take it once and the I will not be full.
So while I commend the government for this initiative, I remember some weeks ago, there's something in the news that at one of these local governments in Lagos where they were sharing rice, people got injured because of the crowd.
These are the things.
So that's why I'm saying that beyond providing food items for people, the government should be creative in distributing this so that it can get to the people that really needs it. While during COVID-19, I spoke to one of my persons in Texas, and he made me understand that what the government did in one of these countries, that if you go to work in the morning, before you get back home, the government
you meet something
you
at
meet
your
something
doorstep.
at your doorstep.
Yes,
Yes.
I saw some of the videos.
So there are creative ways. In fact, do we even have the register of everybody who are
That was exactly where I was going to.
Data. Sorry. Let me shock you. I want to double shock you now. Hold on.
Before you say
Honestly.
that, the question you should ask yourself is: do we have good people in this country?
Yeah, we do. But
We
not
do.
as
No,
much.
we
Not
do,
as
but
much.
now he's talking about creative and
Not as
strategic
much.
ways.
They are good
Those
people.
good people
If we have
are
data, see, if
Of
we have
course.
data,
See,
let me tell you, if we have data and we have the right people to manage it, not to mess things up,
Yes,
we can
yes,
do start to
Do-
follow
no,
up. Let
no,
me tell you, like I wanted to shock you. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I will shock you very soon.
So do you know that during COVID-19, I actually got a palliative from, I can't remember if it was UK or US.
Really?
Yes, I did. They sent money to my account.
Were you in Nigeria then?
Is it not Nigeria?
I had a friend who
I got
relocated
money.
and something similar.
got money.
He said he wasn't expecting
Wow.
it.
Yes, I did.
He said
I didn't get a penny,
they
not
paid
a cup
him.
of water from
I mean,
my
he
own
was
country.
thinking, you
I'm
know,
not saying
Nigeria.
I'm not saying people didn't
Nigeria.
get anything at all. You understand? I'm not saying yes, they tried, they gave to people, those that could. Even though we have these people harbored everything and tried to be selfish about it. Those that got a cup of garbage.
I think, hold on. Delight, let me remind you, what you just said right now reminds me of...
My point, don't get my point wrong. Now, the reason why I'm saying do we really have good people in this country is this. We all saw the last palliative that was shared.
Yes.
You know, Buhari said that he shared the palliatives and we all did not believe. Not until months
started
after that they started opening warehouses of chiefs, of governors. So there's no way you are not going to involve people in sharing these items.
Yes.
Now,
And that's why
Nigeria is a place full of people
Delight.
who are doing only for themselves.
Delight, I think that's one of the reasons why some people already are looking at e-governance. Like for my friend, you don't have to be there. You don't have to know anyone. The data is there. You can tell the people that, I mean, if for 6 months, people that have not had 30,000 naira in there, those ones are over vulnerable. Give them. Some of us have got already. Don't send to me. I don't have need. Digitalize it.
Account to people's account.
Yes.
You have information.
They don't have to belong to your political party. Give it to those who need it.
First, then you move to the next
Simple.
stage. If it's still available, you need to move to the next stage again. With that, more than half of their expectation will be met.
Yeah, simple. Digitalize it. Don't get people
I would like
involved.
it, please, let's tell
Okay,
them.
so while we wrap
They
up,
can
let's just
also,
do 30 seconds each. So.
Okay, so
To me, I want to commend the Lagos State government that have been doing this and want to congratulate them on the blue rail line that has just. So we want to congratulate the Lagos State government for this, and we hope these things continue so we can enjoy good governance.
All right, let's have it.
It's a nice improvement. Honestly speaking, if there's love among the citizens of this nation, trust me, Nigeria will not be where it is.
yes, show love.
Show love. You know the trend that came up of everybody is wicked, everybody was jumping on the trend. So please, let's try to show love to one another.
Thank
and trust
you.
Yeah, true. Let's be honest. We need more upstanding people. You know, when Delight said, "Are there really good people?" Yeah, there are a couple, a whole lot that I know, but it's just the number is insignificant. And so Israel, it begins with you. Delight, it begins with you. Grace, Alfreda.
Y'all have spoken well, and what I want to say is, let's not just leave the responsibility to the government. We all have a role to play. You know, this hike in food prices and all, human beings too.
During cash crunch.
Some people may want to get 100.
Yeah. We can even start from the studio. Israel, you could take her on a lunch. You understand? These things help her.
Yeah, you're right. All right. Thank you very much, guys. So on my own part, I want to encourage everybody, if you're able to stretch a hand to our neighbor, lend a hand of support to our neighbor, to our friend at this point in time, please do. I want to encourage the government, even from the top. I want to really encourage that they should try as much as possible to move up our standard. Like let's try and match up with. Let's get to that international standard. I mean, it's not a big deal. We have our guys that are tech wizards.
We have the brain.
You know, we have the brain.
We are creative.
Yeah. So if you put structure in place and you put the right hands to handle those things will work out well. What we need is data to work with.
Sure.
And if we are able to do this, trust me, this is a good initiative and they will see the result. All right, guys, thank you very much. I want to believe we've been able to pick one information or the other that is useful, and that's our honest opinions on the banter. Until tomorrow, we're coming your way again. Do have an amazing afternoon out there. Bye.
Au revoir. Au revoir.
welcome to the afternoon news update. I am Grace Komalafe. We begin with the health sector. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria says it has recorded a significant 300% increase in pharmaceutical product prices in the country as a result of foreign exchange constraints and high production costs. The chairman of the body, Oluwatosin Jolayemi, who revealed this, added that the rising power cost of up to 40% also adds to the financial burden on the pharmaceutical sector. While speaking on the issue, the former president of the Association of Industrial Pharmacists of Nigeria, Lolu Ojo, advised the government to support the sector to reduce the hardship costs. The federal government has announced its intention to incorporate the families of wounded and deceased soldiers into the National Social Register and its poverty alleviation initiatives. Dr. Betta Edu, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, disclosed this development during a meeting held with General Christopher Musa, the Chief of Defense Staff in Abuja. Edu stressed the importance of extending support to the families of fallen soldiers, emphasizing a need to broaden the social register to include military personnel impacted by war, including those who have left their families behind. In his response, General Musa assured the Minister of the Nigerian military's dedication to support her ministry's mandate, thereby expressing optimism that the partnership would yield positive outcome. And lastly, we'll wrap up with this exciting news update from the entertainment industry. And it is an exciting news for us in Nigeria as Rema and Burna Boy received 3 prestigious awards at the just concluded 2023 Headies Award held in Atlanta, Georgia. Rema won Best Male Artist, Digital Artist of the Year, and Africa Artist of the Year. He also earned the International Artist of the Year award for his collaboration with Selena Gomez on Calm Down, and the music video for the same song won Best Music Video. Burna Boy, on the contrary, secured awards for Afrobeat Single of the Year, Song of the Year for Last Last, and Best R&B Single for My Hand, featuring Ed Sheeran. The event, which was live-streamed on YouTube, also recognized other artists like Odumodu Black, Ashake, Victony, and Tempo, with 2 awards each. The 2023 Headies Awards celebrated exceptional talents in the Pan-Africa and Afrobeat music scene, highlighting the enduring legacy of these remarkable artists. Thank you for staying with us. Do follow us on all our social media platforms at Sook News for further updates and programs. My name is Grace Komalafe. Up next is the Banter. Please stay with us.
welcome to the Banter, where we bring up topical conversation here in the studio. My name is Grace Komolafe, and I have Amaka here with me today. I have Israel, don't worry, I'll do the introduction for you. I have Juvi, and I have Afreta. Well, we don't have the lights here today, but trust me, you will be joining us tomorrow. Thank God it's Monday.
It's a blessed Monday because when you start your Monday like this.
But I don't know why he decided to start his Monday with an entire.
Amaka, this your faces.
I don't know.
Don't come after me.
Indeed, it's a blessed Monday.
And
Look at the
Monday
beauty.
are glowing. I'm beauty.
In fact, eh? So guys, how was the weekend?
Israel, easy. How was your weekend? The way you are looking like this, did you touch heaven?
The weekend is.
Who is even noticing this guy? See the chin.
Like,
The neck.
it's glowing.
This fashion is Monday afternoon. I don't know. All right, guys. So we're here again today, and we'll be having conversation around a particular topic to start with, and I want to call them the happy boys. Happy boys.
Yeah, that's
yes. Okay, so you know. So the happy boys beg Apostle Chibuzo and Nigerians for forgiveness, saying that things are not going well for them.
So what do they need this time?
Are you asking me?
There's a saying.
So I mean, that's the topic. So
There's a saying, touch not my anointed, and do my prophets no harm.
Pastor Mrs. Amaka
You are
Ogwefi.
You are blessed.
And that she was name.
I received my blessing, ma'am.
You are blessed.
Okay, so I mean, I just want us to have conversation around it. We all remember the controversies around number one, them being relieved of their job as security guys because they were actually dancing.
They were
happy boys. That's why I keep calling them happy boys. You know, they were dancing during work hours, and after then, this pastor came up and said, "Don't worry, we'll help you," and took them to Cyprus, put them in school and all of that. So there have been lots of follow-up conversations after that, and here they are today. I think there was a time they came out and they were lashing the pastor that he just abandoned them and all of that. So let me not share my own opinion for now. Let's start with Juve.
Well, basically for me, I think it's that time people took more responsibility for their lives, their actions. You don't come out on social media and say stuff, and the effect of the things you say without, you should put that in consideration. It's like character assassination. After you said the man was this, then you're coming out. What are you apologizing for? You said a whole lot. So if you are taking that up legally, so they don't even have the money to pay for it. And so people should be very careful before they say things just to get attraction or to get empathy from.
Okay, so I think on a lighter note, I just realized that I'm a kettle calling pot black.
Why
Do you
that?
have Ankara?
And she back.
I just remembered, I was like, oh man,
Ankara Monday.
Ankara Monday.
I like that.
Alright, so Israel, who wants to go next?
Okay, so to add to what Julie said, the internet has become, well, there's always been a public space, and there's this trend. You come out to say something, and the next minute you come out to say sorry. But we should not forget something. Internet does not forget. Do you understand? So them coming to beg for forgiveness from Nigerians, from Apostle and all of that. So, internet does not forget. So we should actually be careful. I mean, this is, the whole dance thing that happened then, and then of course were released on their job, and then this person now, more like to better their life, and then they are turning the whole thing. There's this adage, you don't fight
Finger that fed you.
That's life is a seed. You will always reap. You may not reap it now, but
that's it. Pastor Mrs.
Mommy
Dr. Afreta. Okay, so Israel.
Okay, well, for me, I'm going to put myself in two camps. This is what happens when you And I find it alarming. I find it very sad when you turn out drag mod. Okay, this is what I because in fact in the first place these guys were found guilty of a piece of they were being punished, but because of raising them best known to the prophet or the pastor.
I think it's a societal thing. You know, when you see people having one challenge or the other, and it's being thrown at the public space, the internet, you see people wanting to show concern.
So that empathy, show empathy.
I think the best way. So my concern is not showing the concern. My point is that I think that there should be a better way to show concern. I would have expected, I would have loved it if at that point they walk up to the managers of that company and tell them, what has this person done? Let him pick, or it is taken back, rather than just
picking the person.
You're making the person discipline them a bad person. You get, you're making that person feel bad. That we should be punished for whatever we have done and before. So this is exactly what happened. I remember they also came out the other time and said, in fact, the story that we read down said things are not going well for us.
Yes.
Which means that even if you empower them, they will waste it. Just like the prodigal son, they're going to waste it.
They were already wasting it initially, going to club
I
and
think
the
when
rest.
they were
wasting
wasting
it.
they were living life.
Yes.
And that brings to mind also the issue of giving people, teach a man how to fish, don't just, because if he had taught them how to make, probably they would have done something. So they had money, but they could not reproduce or make a profit of what they had.
My concern is on the pastor. I don't think it's even that strong. And with the whole backlash from different angles, I don't see why a pastor will pick you up from where they abandoned you, because they were dancing during work hours. They sacked you. They brought it out to the public space, and the pastor was like, "Oh, how can these boys be working when they're supposed to be in school?"
Yes, because they look very young.
And then that was his main aim. Because they're supposed to be in school. Why are they serving?
And there are schools in Nigeria, but he preferred to take them outside.
Let's just say from the benevolence of his heart.
The pastor didn't engage.
It was a good intention.
He didn't engage the managers of the company.
It was from his benevolence.
Yes, from the benevolence of his heart.
So
how good he was.
So while we're showing concern to people, we have to be very careful. You understand? So that do your due diligence, know the whereabouts of the people and see.
But you know that
to me, do you know this is the second
if
time?
that was actually the help they needed at that, probably
This is the second time they're apologizing. Do you know? They came out the first one. After firing the pastor, they went back, apologized. They went again, fired him.
So
now they're coming out to apologize. You can't, like, the second time they're apologizing. So I'm like, are you doing this just to trend? Okay. What is your main aim for doing this? Why are you coming out to do this every time? Like,
so why not channel your energy into doing something else instead of you continuing to drag this man? He has done his little part. Just move on with your life. Let him be. I mean, that's for me. It's a Monday. I call this Monday sermon because like we are just preaching. It's a sermon. So for me, I would have expected them to just move on with lives. Like you said, if they had empowered them, probably they would have wasted it. But we never can tell. You're looking at their sizes, their maturity. You know, they look very young. So probably that's
mental.
It's not. No. I'm saying that they're not matured enough to think big. You know, and probably they don't even have people to guide them. The pastor probably also sent them there and just felt, okay, this is what I can do. Then you understand, and okay, this is what I can do, and then stay back to give. I don't mean staying back with them in Cyprus, but you know, reaching out to them, giving them advices, backup, and all of that. Standing in gap of a father, because what he did is a fatherly role.
Exactly.
So to keep up, I think he would have also followed up on them, part time, tell them what to do. If whenever I can tell if he did, I'm just saying.
Please, I think one of my people used to tell me that it is expensive to how do you put it? It is not easy to maintain success when you're not prepared. Those guys
They were not.
Nobody.
So they will say that preparedness makes opportunity.
Exactly.
So when you are prepared and the opportunity comes.
Prepared for it. Because if they prepared for it, they would have gone to Cyprus
Exactly, you go
and
to
made
school
good use of it. In fact,
exactly.
you know, their followers on social media, they will have used that as a base and
Yes.
make money. Good
creating
money.
content there.
Creating content there from
Be
Cyprus.
dancing to every song.
Exactly.
Since you guys know that to
Promoting
dance.
Nigeria.
Exactly.
So if they might be hearing us,
Definitely.
we want to encourage them rather than coming online to ask for forgiveness or all those stuff.
Look for favor.
Do something. You have they've given you the fame already. The man of God
You
has
have
given
the
you the fame.
platform.
You have the platform.
Yeah.
Yes, you have the platform. Make good use of the platform.
Okay. Let's take.
Okay, I feel like sometimes in this social life, this public social life, sometimes there's someone at the back end telling you, oh, to get this kind of followers, to
You need to do
trend,
this,
you need to
you
do
need to
trend. If you know that is the case, I'm not saying maybe they are like that. Maybe from the back end, somebody is
Maybe somebody's-
projecting it. If you know that is the case, this is not a healthy life.
Exactly. It's not.
It will fire back at you at some point. You will trend for a while and then
you
stop
disappear.
trending.
Exactly.
So I advise, go back to your former being.
Be the you.
Yeah.
The simple innocent guys of
Exactly.
those days.
Exactly.
You know, okay, Julius.
Well, I think this comes across as being manipulative. As we do the same thing once bitten, twice
Twice shy.
Then it opens your way back to it again.
Again.
How they prepare with success to them. Get serious. If you make mistake, get serious with it. Pick yourself up and do something with it. Please, you're not getting any younger.
Okay, Africa.
Well, okay, so to add, that's actually the basis, like Amaka said, from that back end, people take so much advice. But it's not every trend that suits every person. So just be yourself at the end of the day. You're humble, keep being humble. It's not like, okay, you want to take up some kind of character just to trend. After the trend, to what end do you get? So just, I feel like, yeah.
Okay, so I think another angle to the story is why we're trying to say in this part of the world, we tend to before you help somebody, is do your thing. Know if this person works, if the person has the charisma, has the strength, has the skill, the ability to sustain what you're giving to that person. So don't just throw your wealth at don't just throw it anywhere. In fact, they will tell us in church that there are lands that are not fertile. So you don't just help everybody.
True.
You just help everybody.
That's your peer before.
Exactly.
Right, yeah,
So
I think
this
that's
is
right.
very, very important. Why you trying to help people conscious of those who don't deserve it? I'm not saying this.
They don't, yes, but you
I'm
never
saying that
can tell.
You have to be careful about it.
All right, thank you very much, Israel. Thank you, everyone. And for me, I also want to say that happy boys, please put yourself together, go back to the drawing board, know what is good for you, and just start afresh. I mean, it's not a big deal, there's nothing wrong with starting all over again. Leave Pastor Ichibuzo alone. Leave him alone. He's actually done his part.
Exactly.
Sit down and think of what you can do for yourself and move on to your life. Okay, so that is that on this topic, and we'll be moving on to the next topic after this break. Let me post your bubble. The topic coming next, we'll be having a conversation around should I break it?
Yeah.
Let's go on a short break. Welcome back. I hope I didn't show you off balance. You're really expecting me to let the cat out of the bag, isn't it? Okay, I'll do so right away. Mexico, decriminalize abortion.
You need to break down.
Mexico, decriminalize abortion. Yes, so saying that abortion is not a crime. So that's Mexico anyway, that's not Nigeria. We know it's a different ballgame here. Different strokes for different folks. So in Nigeria it's not the same, but let's have a conversation around it. I'll start with that.
Abortion.
What's it? I don't say you sing
There was a
now.
song, I think it was Blackie who did it, something like that.
Oh, no, I don't
abortion.
right? No, nothing like that.
Abortion.
What's in this?
Okay, so what do you have to say? You want me to read? Okay, the states, Mexico state and the federal government have since been slow to repeal penal code. The new ruling legalizes abortion across all 32 states. The Supreme Court said the denial of the possibility of a termination violated the human rights of women. So that means the Supreme Court said the denial of the possibility of termination violated the human rights of women, meaning that women have the right to actually terminate pregnancies. And I thought this speaks to trying to cut down population, and probably to help some individuals that will find themselves in that space where they can't cater, for the expected baby. So sometimes you see people just find themselves into wrong relationships, and sometimes it's not even a wrong relationship, they are in a proper relationship, it just didn't work, and sometimes we have cases of rape and all of that. So some people are being raped even after taking care of themselves. Somehow you just realize that after 3-4 months something is still happening, and those people such child, it depends though, after having such baby, some parents tend to transfer the aggression, the pain on the kid, on such a child. Take it or you leave it. Human is human. It doesn't matter the way they came to the world. But I think this is to speak to all of these issues, so people could basically have a way to take care of all of these things. I want to come to Israel, because Africa is short of words. So let me come to Israel.
Okay, so that particular country has 32 states, and this to me is a welcome.
Okay, really?
Yeah, it is.
This to me is a welcome, because it is better you prevent something rather than curing it.
Okay.
Yes, better to prevent it.
Prevention means you
That's why you
don't
say
have
prevention is better
illicit
than
sex,
Calm down,
right?
calm down. This
Not
law
all
is- it might not be
legal
this-
sex. I mean,
Yes.
some are not illicit, some are legal, some are proper
we don't
sex,
have-
consensual sex. You understand?
Okay, let me allow
Sorry,
you.
let's allow
carry
you.
on.
So this is giving rights back to you before the right to me. The right is with the government, the right is with the family, with the parents. But now it is your right to decide, okay, I want to keep this child, I'm not going to keep this child. And mind you, it's still a fetus in the womb. The child is not yet out. It is better for you to, if the government, since the government has said this, it's better for you to do away with the child, quote and unquote, now, than bringing the child to life and using them for street trading. You get, I think we're reading the news. I shared with you. A lot of people using their children to beg for money.
Do you know that I saw a video? Sorry, I saw a video 3 days ago. A young lady went to I think on a bridge and threw the baby into the water. Yes, I saw the video. Very small. I think maybe less than a month old baby. And luckily people were around. They quickly jumped. Somebody jumped into the river and brought out the baby. Tried to revive. Yes, and she was like, she's tired. Yeah, he the father. Are you this? You know, and all of that.
But
That
nobody falls down into
that even
that, right?
no, you never can tell. You don't know the circumstance.
For me,
You don't
this
know
is
the
how I see
circumstance.
this situation. If you, the Yoruba say, what you don't want to eat,
You don't smell
don't
it.
perceive
But
it,
what if
right?
it was
You
rape?
don't know the circumstance
No,
that
there are
warranted that
instances-
pregnancy,
there are
even
instances
to the
where-
baby.
There are instances where people have been able to make the choice and say, I'll keep my child regardless.
Yes,
All
we
right?
are different
And people
individuals.
have gone ahead. Now, for those who don't know, abortion, the case in the United States, 1973, Roe versus Wade, it was a really the judgment that made that all 50 states you could legally go for abortion. But recently in 2022, that was upturned again. And so only 22 states have said you can't go on and abort. No, the way it happens in the United States is that states have rights to do some things. Why I'm saying this is, you've enjoyed the process, the sexual intercourse.
No, not in all cases.
Not in all
cases.
Let me give you an instance.
Let him-
In the year 2020, there was a statistics by Got Matcher.
Okay.
930,000 abortion was done in the United States. Imagine. 930,000 babies were killed. So imagine if those people were part of the population. And do you know that according to research, and I'm not just saying stuff, the demography shows that more African Americans, Hispanics do abortion. Do you know why? There's been a claim by some people that it's intentional to wipe off or wipe out a particular set of people.
You said it's a claim,
No,
right?
No, come again.
Yes,
The
yes.
abortion is
Yes, it's targeted at majorly the African Americans, Hispanics who are low on income. I mean, these are things
so
you find out.
is
These are
it the
things you
government
find
that
out.
tell them to go
There
do
is-
abortion,
there is an
or they
association, there is an
decide
association.
Do they
Do you
push
know- do you
them to
know
go and do the abortion?
There's health insurance
Yes.
that makes that for you to be qualified, you can. Now, let me tell you one of the duties of Planned Parenthood. For those who don't know, Planned Parenthood, since its founding in 1942, has worked as an advocate for education and personal liberties in the areas of birth control, family planning, and reproductive health care.
Okay.
Do you know what that means?
Please explain.
They sponsor.
Despite we understand, want you to explain for them.
They sponsor abortion, eliminating a class of people. I'm saying this because
No, they sponsor abortion based on
yes, it is.
based
I mean,
on
these are facts. You can see. These are
your
facts.
choice.
Your
These are
choice.
facts.
You
No.
give your consent. They can't take you to
Do
the
you know-
hospital.
do you
Not
know-
drugs
do
to
you
the
know-
hospital.
Okay,
Yes, to
how about-
carry
have
out
we
abortion
considered
without
the fact-
consent.
You know, Israel, what was saying.
Even if
speaking
you are
earlier.
using pills.
Grace,
See.
do you know what Izzy was saying earlier speaking? Do you know a baby and a mother are two different entities?
So
Sure.
But
So-
you had the fun, whether it was rape or I don't know. But
So
you
don't call it
decided
fun. Don't
to
call it fun because you don't even know the
sexual intercourse
circumstance.
is fun.
No!
Sexual intercourse
No!
is fun.
Okay, so-
Let's just
No,
let's just
in
call
what
the dead
context?
one is not-
No!
Okay, so let me
But it's true.
come in.
No.
Let me-
Rape is
It
not
is
fun.
fun when
No,
it
I'm
is
not
when
saying
it is
how many
consensual.
cases were rape?
Are you
What
serious?
are you saying?
How many
People are
cases?
raped.
You guys
Not
don't
to
have
talk about one.
We are
There's
in
gang rape. It's not fun.
We're in the internet age.
Toby.
Why we have this
It's not fun.
conversation?
Let's
Let's
have it.
find
I
out
like to-
how many.
Let me come in from this angle. You mentioned a particular figure about 900.
930,000.
Good. So
That was at
something-
2020.
Okay.
Something that is being done
So
without the approval. This is called hypocrisy. So you are saying that this
No,
is
not rape. I'm not saying
calm
rape.
Wait.
down.
sex is sex.
Calm down. What I'm saying is that
No, sex is
something
not
No,
sex.
sex is not sex.
Wait, something
No,
is
no,
not.
no,
not just
no,
sex.
no. You don't get what I'm
There are
saying.
types of sex.
That's why I'm
I want to
saying.
say this.
So you can't say it is fun. You understand?
Sex is fun.
For all categories, it's
You
not
can't
fun.
say it is fun.
Unless
For it is not what.
rape. Sex
For some is fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so what
Rape.
I'm
No,
saying
I need
is this.
sex.
What
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
saying
generally,
is this. What
for
I'm
some
saying is
it's
this. If that kind of number can be doing something without the approval of the government.
No, it has government backing.
Okay,
That's
that-
2020. That's what I'm
But you said
saying.
it has been upturned.
In 2022.
Now, it speaks to the hypocrisy that we are all involved in. Like in Nigeria,
we're in Nigeria. This thing is a crime.
Yeah, it's criminal in
case,
Nigeria.
14
But don't
years
they do it?
jail time.
That's why
They do it in the secret.
Behind.
Why are we shielding secrecy again? Why? Why can't we be plain to ourselves? Why can't we be open? Why can't we just tell, please do what best suits you?
Yes.
Rather than saying you can't do this, you can't
But
do
there is
this.
a child involved.
Is it not better for you?
The child involved is the government going to cater for that child.
Exactly.
When
No,
they
no,
have to
no,
do
no, no.
this,
Are there
the only
amenities
time
to
it is
cater for
allowed,
them?
the only time it is allowed in Nigeria is when you want to save a woman.
Yes.
It's when only when you want to save a woman. Juvi, why you talking about? Hello, let me hold on, calm down, Juvi, calm down. So when you are saying, okay, so I just want to say this. In Nigeria, the only time you are allowed to perform an abortion is when you want to save a life of a pregnant woman. Hold on. So you want to save a life of a pregnant woman because right now she's pregnant, there are complications and all of that. So what are those unseen complications that might come later when that baby comes to life?
Exactly.
What about that? If you perceive it, you say that you foresee the future and you're like, this is going to be an issue. Then you want to take care of it. Why not do it?
Cases?
Why not do it?
Figure how many cases?
I will look for that as well. That of rape, and attempt. Let me quickly share this with you. A United Nations statistical report compiled from government sources showed that more than 250,000 cases of rape or attempted rape were recorded by police annually. The reported data covers 65 countries. So when we say,
look at the figure.
Hold on.
Let's use Mexico as case study.
Hold on. I'm coming.
Mexico.
Hold on. Amaka, I said by police.
Please give us the
hold on. Reported by police.
The data again.
Hold on. 250,000 cases of rape or more attempted rape recorded by police. How about those ones that were not said, were not recorded? The ones that it's the NGOs, individuals that rescue these people.
NGOs don't reach them.
Yes, and they don't. It doesn't get to the police. The police, because they don't know about it
Because of the stigmatization.
Yes, they cannot speak out.
Over 65 countries.
Yes.
250,000. In the United States only, in 2020, 930,000 babies.
That is because most of these rape cases were not recorded.
In the United
That's
States,
900. Are they all conceptual, agreed intimacy that led to those pregnancies? Are you saying that 900 abortions? Wait.
Yes.
Are you saying that 900 abortions?
Abortion is legal in the United States. That's what we're saying.
Hold on. This is my question.
When you make it legal in Mexico, we're going to have
This is not
legal in all states.
Hold on. This is my question.
States.
Let's calm down. This is my question. When you say over 900 abortions, are you saying that the situation that led to that pregnancy, the intimacy, are you saying that all of them were agreed or properly agreed?
They were not.
How can you say that? Can you say yes?
These are the figures.
How can you say yes?
You can Google.
You know what I'm saying at all?
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying at all?
Yes.
So what led to that pregnancy?
You could, if you are above the age of consent, you could have an abortion.
I'm not talking about the abortion. I'm talking about what led to that pregnancy. Are you saying all of them are proper pregnancy?
In Sweden recently, there was a spot.
Some of them were.
Do you know that in Sweden? There was a sport now. Sweden.
See, let me tell you, do you know that there are a lot of rapes in marriage?
You can't use that to judge. You can't use that to conclude.
Juvie. I want to say this to Juvie. Juvie, do you know that there are a lot of uncountable rapes in marriages? As a marriage, that they cannot come out to say.
Exactly.
Marriages, I mean to say, they can't come out to say it. And at the end of the day, the woman might end up wanting to get rid of that pregnancy. And when she goes for abortion, you say you had fun at that time. See, you know so many people that just lie there.
Success is not even
be part of the engagement.
Exactly.
There are so many angles to this thing.
Do you know the scripture says?
We have 1 minute each. You have 1 minute each, please.
God.
Amaka, let's have you.
Let's breathe first.
Amaka, no, don't have Amaka. Amaka, let's have your take on this.
To me, I feel that there's so many angles to this thing.
Okay.
Now, one government comes out to say, oh, we want to implement something. There are so many factors attached to it.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you considered their economy?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of them.
Yeah.
Have you considered the rate of how babies are littered around the streets? The poverty rate?
Babies home self, we don't.
Have you considered the rape cases?
Yes.
Have you considered the welfare, like
inability
how
to
can you
cater
cater for this
children?
child?
I mean, it's not out of place when you get down with either your partner, whichever way. Okay, you talking about fun is fun. It's not a crime when you have that fun. No. But you are having the fun does not mean all cases you want that pregnancy.
But
so sometimes you become very careful, but you still miss out. Sometimes you still miss it.
There's an instrument for protection, right?
Yes.
Against pregnancy.
Yes.
Is it that it's not working or what?
No, some cases,
ask
some
them,
cases
man.
depend on the God it happens fail.
The fact is that
Okay, let's just have a 30 seconds now.
So
And let's go. Are you done? Have you made your
I
point?
want to know why. Like there are instruments for protection, right?
Yes, and it works.
Doing the abortion, that's what you're trying
Yeah,
to say.
let us.
No, so in most cases it works. If I'm to answer your question, now some people cannot even afford to get those things you're talking about.
And you can afford
You can hold body.
See, no matter your level, no matter how rich or how poor you are, you have the right
There's
to
what you
have
call
fun.
self-control.
Wait now.
There's what you call self-control.
Yes, you see,
know.
despite the self-control,
You don't have the right.
The self-control you're talking about does not mean you should not have fun. All you need to do is to be careful, protect yourself, isn't it? So I'm saying that yes, there are things you could do, not so you don't get pregnant, you don't conceive, but at the same time, there are some that are not affordable to some level of people. We have the poorest, as in I don't know how to explain it,
But
you
you
understand?
can afford
That-
having fun.
What are you saying?
So you can afford intimacy.
All right.
So for me, I think this is a decision by a government that is forward thinking.
Really?
Yes, that is forward thinking. Not a government that is always there to criminalize everything. Not a government that does not even know planning. You understand? So I believe before they make this decision, they look into a lot of, and some of these laws before they made those laws, well, it will have passed through various stages.
Yeah, of course.
So there will be public engagement. They will have engaged with stakeholders.
Done
You
research.
understand? They will have engaged with healthcare providers, NGOs, and every other person. You understand before they can come to this. So to me, I think this is good. This is okay to curb overpopulation because we are already overpopulated, especially Nigeria.
Mexico is nothing close to China. And
So they are trying.
That's China.
They don't need to become China before they plan. That's what they say.
You like comparison.
See Mexico.
All right, guys. Thank you very much,
That's a forward
everybody.
See Mexico.
Thank you.
All right, we'll leave it at that.
That's much we can take on this very topic. But I am sure that we've been able to make some valid points. I mean, it's a different opinion. It doesn't matter. We disagree, we agree. It's just what we feel. And if you're watching, I'm sure that something has been impacted.
Yes.
Depends on what
They can even drop their
your own
comments.
perspective. So of course you want to be part of this
Share your
conversation.
thoughts,
Share your thoughts on via our social media
Banter with us.
platforms. Yes. Okay, so quickly let's move to the next topic for today. So I just pick up my phone and say, I want to speak with a friend. Okay, probably it's been quite a while, and hello, I just want to check up on you. How are you doing? And you look at the number very. You don't have this number now. Yes, I'm just calling with a friend's number because I know you won't pick my call. And the next thing, did you get that? Gist?
Yeah, I got it.
That means this person don't even talk to you in the first place. So you are aware that this person don't want to talk to you. Now get you look for another a friend's phone number to put that call through. And the moment the person realize that, oh, you are the one calling me again, you just hang the call off. Okay, so that's just a scenario. But the topic is hanging up call on the person called.
I think it's rude. I think anybody that does that is just being rude.
No, I think the person might be in a bad mood. Or just
But
your
you
nature.
can tell the person. You can tell the person, hello, please, I can't talk now.
No, but not everybody have that time.
That's what I'm saying. That's it. But we need to. What if I want to tell you something that will better your life? Something that will even expire in the next 1 second.
What if it's rubbish you want to tell me?
What? No. What? Me that I'm calling you. I can't be calling you for phone.
I have friends that call me for rubbish.
Some people just want to stay on the line to have
but you're
conversations that are not necessary, and you have time.
Remember,
you
you
have
might
things to
need
do.
that person tomorrow. So if you hang up on the person today, If you hang up on person today, when you call tomorrow, are you saying he's going to pick your call?
The person might need.
So the best thing,
Well, it depends on who is calling as well.
No. That is
Yes.
that is the problem
Okay,
we have.
let me ask you one question. Israel, you know all these people that call as if they are calling a wrong number.
Okay.
And they speak a particular language.
Yes. Do you tell them, please call me back, or I'm going to hang up?
Sorry,
Or you just hang up?
So you put this in perspective.
So that's it.
You put this in perspective. Depends on the context.
That's the
So
perspective.
you are calling me, I don't know you, and it's a wrong number.
And they
Sorry,
say,
it's a wrong.
Aliu.
Sorry, it's a wrong number.
And is he talking?
No, I think the conversation should be around who should hang up first.
Yes. So because I said hanging on the
it's
call
not from that perspective you're talking
on
about.
the person that called.
You understand? So you might call somebody now and you're still giving that person information, but it feels
You are done.
There's something we call assumption. We had a conversation around assumption in the office.
Yes.
Sometimes you're going to say, we assume a lot in this part of the world. You believe you have known what that person is. Your wife is calling you to tell you that our baby is sick. But because she mentioned, Junior is go and take him in school. It is your turn to pick him in school. And he wants to tell you that he's sick and we're going to the hospital. But because you've had just hang up.
But also, maybe you just go straight to what the matter is and just say it. And maybe instead of
even sometimes
before you get
yes, I think that's also another angle to it. But I think it's for me it's a matter of respect. Respect the person, let the person feel, give him that time. See,
it's courtesy.
Exactly, it's courtesy. We need ourselves in this part of the world. We need ourselves. People are going through a lot.
Yeah, I need you.
A friend might even call you. You know, there was a time I was down with something and a friend called
they serve breakfast, you know. So you can serve breakfast.
We need ourselves.
Okay.
Especially from the female, from the opposite side, when they call.
See?
Hold on.
They want to say there's this calmness.
You get it.
This cold white.
I'm not going to hang up on
He's
that.
speaking from experience.
I'm not going to hang up on that call. I'm going to, you understand? So we need ourselves. Emotional, we should be our emotional quotient. No, this is very
He's actually
serious.
correct.
Very serious.
Israel is passionate about this.
Conversation might ill.
Okay, so like earlier before we came to the studio for the program, I was preparing, you know, and this call came in. The person called the first time, called the second time. I had to quickly. Yes, I know I was meant to be in here, but I had to quickly have that conversation, and he was longing and longing the conversation. It was becoming a long thing, and I was just like, okay, so sorry, sir. I need to go and now that I'm going to call you back later. He kept talking, Yes, he kept talking, and I think that was when you asked me a question and I responded. And it was like, are you talking to someone or you are talking to me? I said, please, sir, I need to go now. Don't worry, I will call you back. And I said, okay, go and do your program.
That's the best.
And that was it.
So,
I could have, as I said, I'm telling you, I'm going for a program. He's asking me if I'm bam, and I'll just disconnect the call.
Yes, I said it depends on who is on the other side.
There's something I
Who
want
is
to
on the
say.
other side also matters.
Okay.
I know it's not this angle you're coming from, but I want to paint a scenario in your head.
Okay.
Imagine somebody calls you on the phone and the person is talking. Let's say you people have a problem, maybe a relationship problem. Your boyfriend or your girlfriend calls you. And you having a relationship problem, you want to sort it out. And he's talking, and he wants to go on the show. And you're telling him, okay, babes, you know what? Please, I'll call you back. I need to hang up. And like, don't hang up this call. Don't hang up. Will you hang up that call?
Okay,
that's a different scenario.
That's a different ball.
Honestly.
Because you've already told her that you're going on a show. You understand? I think that's different. A lady or your partner who respects what you do will give you that.
Yes, regardless of the kind of.
I want to say this, that some relationship would have been restored if there were good communication.
True.
Some of us don't. Some of us only talk. We don't communicate.
There are three elements in every good
so you just want to hear your you just want to say
effective communication is important.
Yeah, so hanging up on the person on the phone is a sign of it can lead to ineffective communication. You are not even communicating.
Sometimes you will not even know if the person hanged up or it was network.
No, sometimes we use network
if it's
to
a
ask this
network.
guy.
Yes, sometimes you
There
not
is
even know.
this formula that I used when you're calling me and I want to go. That I just say, oh, okay, please come in.
So I just want to say something related to that. So when it comes to
and he knows,
privacy,
so he just tell you, oh, is somebody? Yes,
somebody is there. I'm coming. So when it comes to privacy and boundaries, I think that's one of the ways to go. Because I'm on a call with someone and probably somebody is coming in and I don't want that person to hear the conversation. I don't want to have an idea of what I'm saying, you know. And maybe you just bumped on me. I can just quickly cut off. I can hang up.
Then you call back, right?
Yes, I can send a message. It's just polite for you to quickly now do a message to that person, or much later, oh, I'm sorry. You don't necessarily have to say, oh, somebody came here, I don't want them to hear what I'm saying. Oh, I am sorry, something happened, my phone. We lie a lot. My phone went off, something, and that is so. I mean, let's respect one another.
Yes,
let's encourage effective communication, you know, and regardless of the nature of the conversation, let's be tolerable, let's be tolerant, let's encourage each other to tolerate one another. So if you see that it's something that is getting you out of your space, you can always find a way to end that conversation and call for it later. So you might even not even go back to it again and again, but at least you've been able to,
just being cautious.
That's it. It's courtesy. All right, guys. I think that's it for today. Oh, we made a good use of our time. I guess
we're calm.
It's a Monday anyway, so
yes.
Notice that we're so calm.
Yeah, it's a change.
No, we almost lost it actually. For me, I almost lost it with Juvie. I would have just
I
pushed you.
Just to be cautious, to consider you, and to be respectful.
That's necessary. All right, guys, a big shout out to all the guys behind the camera. Yeah. You guys are doing a great job and we appreciate you. Yes, we do. So we would like you to join us via our social media platforms. I'm talking to all of our fans, all of our friends. Be part of this conversation. Drop your comments. And you know what? Share. Until tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be coming on the show again with another exciting topic. Trust us, loaded. Always loaded. So guys, do have a bright week ahead. See you tomorrow. Bye guys.
On the banter.
Yeah.
Welcome to Across Borders, a program that journeys beyond geographical boundaries to explore the complexities of our interconnected world, transcending borders and bridging cultures to uncover the stories, experiences, and challenges that define our global community. My name is Grace Komalafe, and I thank you for being part of this program. Today, we shall be looking at international labor market. It is a fact that people move from one part of the world to another on a daily, and this decision is influenced by various specific factors or peculiarities, but with a positive expected end. Unfortunately, while some expectations come alive, some do not near the light of the day, leaving the dreamer in a different world entirely. Join me as we explore the topic, international labor migration. To have this conversation, I have an expert in the house who will be shedding light on the topic for today. But before I start, it is important for me to note this aspect that economic opportunities, conflict, environmental factors, and family reunification could be considered as primary drivers for international migration. But really, we are narrowing it down, to international labor migration. So we are not putting everything together. But of course, like I said earlier, we have a guest in the house. He is a human rights activist and a veteran of the refugee and the migrants movement in Germany. He initiated the campaign for the right to freedom of movement for refugees in Germany, otherwise known as the Anti-Residence Campaign in 2000. Dr. Sonny Onwanyeke. You're welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to have you.
Thank you very much.
So I hope I didn't bother you.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so like I said earlier, we want to talk about international labor migration because yes, people travel for various reasons, probably to study, for visit, and all of that.
Right.
But let's deal with international labor migration. And to start with, I want to ask you, do I know I mentioned some elements around it, but because you are a specialist, so I want you to share with our people, our audience, what are the primary drivers of international labor migration, and how do they vary across regions and countries?
Thank you for having me here, and I'm happy to be part of your program here. First, I want to say that I'm happy to participate in this discussion, but I wouldn't necessarily regard myself as an expert because the problem is that many people claim to be experts in fields which they actually know very little about, but the way the whole system is set up is that you give this kind of names to people, whereas it is actually lacking in substance. So I want to make it clear that I am not a certified expert, so to speak, on this issue, but I've got some experience dealing with this issue for a very long time and experiencing it in Germany firsthand, and I can say one or two things about that.
Okay, thank you. So before you start with the topic, I just asked a question. But I actually went through your profile and I realized you studied international relations and global governance in Bremen.
Right.
And you completed your doctorate in UK on transnational advocacy network.
Right.
I'm correct.
Yes.
So all of this put together, I know there's a couple of experiences. So of course, you are a good hand to handle this.
Thank you. Thank you.
So can we have this?
Yeah, the thing is that if you look at the trend of international migration, particularly narrowing it down to the labor market, is nothing new. There have been people moving from all across the globe at different times in our history for the purpose of labor. And the essence of it is to improve your lives. Beyond seeking safety, human dignity, and respect, the ultimate goal is to improve your life as a human being. So people migrate from one country to the other for the purpose of improving their life situation, but then you see that there are different reactions to it, at different times in the different countries where people migrate to, and then there are the narrative that surrounds it as to why are they here, what are they doing here, why is it that they have to come to this country, and so forth and so on. What we have to keep in mind is that we are in a situation globally where the anti-migration sentiment is very high, driven by right-wing populism in Europe, and as we saw recently in the US, this is no surprise. But the primary thing to note about this is that migration is a natural phenomenon. It's not something that happens just in a single minute with one or two people and it disappears. It has been on for years and years and years, and my guess is that it will continue to be like this for a long time to come. At the moment, you have a situation where people migrate to work in certain countries. I don't want to generalize that much, but you see people migrate from West African countries, for example, across the Sahara Desert, across the Mediterranean Sea, to move and migrate into Europe to seek a better life. Well, why are these people moving from this region in particular? Because their means of livelihood have been destroyed. There's this slogan in the refugee and migrant movement in Germany saying, we are here because you destroyed our countries. You destroyed our countries both by your trade policies, by the wars that you perpetuate in our countries, by the political corrupt elites that you support, and the weapons that you import, that you send to our countries. So these are the various things that drives people to migrate from a region like West Africa, for example, to go to Europe to seek a better life. And if their livelihoods have been destroyed by the political and economic interests of the West, so to speak, in their countries, they have that natural right to migrate to somewhere where they feel they can get an element of respect and dignity and, of course, survival.
Okay, thank you very much. So before I move to the other question I actually penciled down.
Right.
I think from what you said, you talk about the slogan where people say, okay, because you destroy our country, so we have come to stay. So I want to ask, don't you think it would have been better if they decide to stay back in their home country to put it in order, rather than saying, oh, because you destroy our country, now we are coming to your country to stay? Because for me, you going to this country to stay, the things you do, like you work for them, whatever you do goes into the economy of that country. So instead of you staying back home to put your place in order, you now say, oh, these people destroyed our country, I'm going to. So, I mean, for me, it's just a question.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I can understand this question, and many have raised it before, but the point, what many people miss with this is this. You can go very practical and look at situations in countries where people have decided to stay. I take the example of the SARS protest in Nigeria, for example, a few years ago. People decided to stay, people decided to protest, and what happened at Lekki Beach? Or Lekki toll gate?
Right.
Yeah, what happened? It was a matter of shooting and killing and stuff like that. And when you experience such things, you realize the prospect of you staying here and putting your country in order is not very high, right? Some, of course, stayed. Not many people, not the majority of people migrated as a result, but many did make that move, and there are very many other situations like that who move, right, to first to seek survival, right, and not just a matter of putting your country in order. The reason why your country is not in order has to do with the international global economic system and financial institutions. You know, so it's a kind of interconnected in a way, and you cannot, you have to deconstruct it to realize what is really underneath it. And that's why this slogan, we are here because you destroy our countries. Because when you look at that, you see the different ways in which the livelihoods of people have really been destroyed, and yet at the same time, these people have to seek survival somewhere, and therefore they migrated to go somewhere else.
Okay, let's look at the impact of international labor migration in the economies of both the ascending and receiving countries. And of course,
what are the key economic benefits and challenges associated with this?
On the one hand, you can say when people migrate to, let's say, a place like Europe, generally, I can tell you the Europeans may officially not like it as a official policy, but in a way, they do benefit a lot from it because it's a massive source of cheap labor, right? Okay. Even if they do this work like others will do who are citizens of those countries, the money they will get for it is much lower than what their citizens will get. As a result, is a rich source of cheap labor for these economies, and of course, it is exploitation of the people who experience that kind of situation in the countries that they migrate to. That is on the one hand. I mean, we are not exhausting that at that point, because if you look at the details of it, what these migrants suffer, what they go through, the discrimination and the racism that comes with natural European policies, so to speak, you just realize, okay, there is a different side to this idea that here is a better place for me to be than in my home country. So, but you look at the effect of those who manage to migrate, who manage to secure the papers, the legal papers to work, and who think of their families and friends back home. When they do this, they are able to work, save a little money, so to speak, or from their monthly salaries, they are able to repatriate some of these funds to help people back home. There are very many people, as we see right now in this country, things are difficult. Things are very hard for very many people. So when you have a family where one or two people migrated from, they've been able to secure the means of sustenance in Europe or in America, where they can get some sort of regular payment, regular income. They are able to help those back home, because we as Africans, we are not living in this individualistic, isolated, ideological kind of life where you are there for you and with yourself alone. We are naturally tended to care for our communities, our families, and so forth and so on. And therefore, whatever they get there, do help those back home where they left from.
All right, thank you. You actually mentioned rights, protection, exploitation, and that will bring me to this question.
Right.
So what are the rights or protection for migrant workers in other countries? You know, and of course, how can we address the issue of exploitation and abuse of migrant labor?
Well, if we dive into history, we have to realize that we are in a totally full-blown capitalist system, right? And in capitalism does not survive without exploitation, right? So what you have is those of us who migrated out and are working in those different, we are all being exploited. Exploited because we are not being paid the full value of our contributions to whatever economy we are supposedly supporting or working in those countries. Now, you talk about the rights. In Europe, you cannot also, when you look at this from a critical perspective, you cannot detach European migration policies from white supremacist policies, because the idea that whites are superior to other races is fundamental to all European societies. This is the basis of racism that is there, and so it doesn't matter how qualified you may be, it doesn't matter how suitable you may be to a particular job, you have to be prepared that you are going to be discriminated against. You have to be prepared that you are going to be treated in a way different from those your colleagues or others who are white people in this society. This is basically the structure of European societies. So the rights that may be guaranteed to migrants or refugees, so to speak, in these countries, they are always limited. They are always limited, and that is why you see this continuous fight for equality every time in these various countries.
Wow, thank you very much. I mean, if we want to go into racism and all of this, it's a different topic.
Absolutely,
Honestly.
absolutely.
So, but I'd like us to look at the role of remittance. What role does remittance play in the global economy?
Right.
You know, of course, we want to know how they affect the well-being of migrant workers, families, even in their home.
Right. The thing is, if you look at much of the news that is covered in the development world, so to speak, a lot is made of how much the Western countries, the so-called developed countries, how much aid, development aid they send to so-called poorer countries and so forth and so on. But if you actually go into the details and look at how much remittances come from migrants outside of their country back home to help their families and all that, it is much more than the development aids that come into each of these countries recently. So what you see is not really like we need these aids that are coming from these foreign countries. We actually need our people who do the work and they earn what they deserve from it. If they can earn more for what they actually do, which is what they deserve, we will get a lot more benefits for our people, right, than what may be coming from aid. This is to say, it doesn't matter how much aid these governments, foreign governments are giving us. What our people are contributing to our economy, to our families back home, is much more than these foreign aids that we are getting at any time. That is the reality. You can check the records, and therefore you have to consider that those of us who migrated out of this country, and very many other African countries for that matter, is not also peculiar to African countries. From the Philippines to Bangladesh and Pakistan and so forth and so on, the same pattern operates. So it's a huge resource that some of us are able to make these contributions to our different economies back home and help those who need it, while not necessarily relying on the aid from the so-called developed countries.
All right, thank you very much. Let's speak to the well-being of migrant workers. You spoke about the structure of Africa, or let me bring it down on Nigerians. You know, when they go out there, they work, they don't forget home.
Right.
They just have this orientation, this mentality that, no, I have a family back home and I need to send them money and all of that. So, in some cases, in fact, we've had situations where you see people sending money from abroad back home to take care of projects for them.
Right.
Despite taking care of the family members. This is 10 I have for you, this for you, and this 100 is for me. You did the job. Right. So, and at some point, we've heard stories where these people felt, I mean, it's making a whole lot of money out there. So, I mean, I can just make do with this.
Exactly.
How do we begin to reorientate families, you know, or individuals that believe people that are out there are just making it. They don't consider the well-being. They don't consider how they work to make all of this money.
Right.
I mean, I wanted to speak to this.
Yeah, this is very interesting because I have experienced many situations where these kind of stories come up, and also at some point have to intervene on one level or the other. The fact is that we basically need a form of re-education about what we think we have learned about Europe or the developed world, so to speak, because I think that very many of us, we are prone to this idea that the moment you travel out of this country, you go to Europe, you go to white man's land, there's a lot of money there, and you bring all the money back home, your family can enjoy here. People back home here have to go into a form of re-education, not just the people back home, also very many of us, or basically all of us, also outside. We have to re-educate ourselves about the realities of what the situation really is. Many of us tend to look at white people as people who are so rich, people who have so much money that our children just go from here to there and get some of this money and bring it back, and that's it. No, it's not as simple as that. A lot of the people that travel out of this country, they also have to work from morning till night like very many others to make a living. They've got to pay their bills, they've got to pay their rent, they've got to take care of very many other things like every other person before they will have the extra bit that they can send home to support the family. So whatever comes home should be judiciously used, you know, and cognizance has to be taken of the fact that somebody has been able to send you money to say, I help you with this and I take care of this problem for you, doesn't mean that this person is plucking that money from any tree in any way, you know. Many have to endure a lot of inhumanities just to make sure that they are able to meet their obligations to their family back home in Nigeria. So it's something that people back home also really have to reckon with, right? That it's not easy for very many people who are there. I deal with exactly.
They say they can afford.
Right. I deal with very many refugees and migrants who are stranded on the streets in Europe. You know, we have to find a way to provide for them, to see where they can sleep, to see what they can eat, because, like I said, the European government, they are very anti-migration at the moment for whatever reason, and so they push them out.
Yes.
They push them out of the system entirely without any social benefits, no place to sleep, and no place, nothing to eat. We have to provide for many of these kinds of people on the street. So it's not, and these kinds of people, there are people back home will be expecting that they are sending money.
In fact, I wanted to speak to that, you know, I mean, more like adding to what you just said, you know, you hear of some individuals that they've been gone for a couple of years and they refuse to come back home.
Right.
They refuse to come back home, not because they are not because they don't want to come back home, or probably they are not doing well.
Sure.
They don't want to come back with to say, oh, I've gone for 100 years, I've gone for 30 years, I've gone for, and I came with nothing. That shame and you know, because of that they just stay back and they endure all of stuff on the street. Okay, so but quickly before we go on a short break, I want us to speak to this. Yes, I've heard of the system of government abroad, the way they help their citizens and even the migrants to keep up with the things they have to do, like getting an apartment, owning a car, and all of that, mortgage, and all of this. Because of course you work and you pay taxes. Before you know it, what you are left with. I mean, I've not been there. That's the information I'm being fed with. So I now begin to consider this aspect of mortgaging. If this is a thing the government is doing, don't you think it's a good idea to replicate back home?
Right. Sure. There is a possibility that yes, you could work, you could obtain a loan, you could take a mortgage on a car or on an apartment or whatever. But all this would have to be assessed based on your income and your state of health, the longevity of the contract that you have, and so forth and so on, to ensure that you are able to meet these obligations. Because if you take a mortgage on a house and at the end you are not able to meet this obligation, maybe you are fired in your workplace, you don't have the income anymore to keep it up, you'll be forced to sell this house, probably at a lesser value than you bought it, and then you are indebted for it. The money they take, the banks get back. It's possible to replicate those kind of things back, but at the same time you have to realize that there are a lot of hurdles to go through before you get to that point. For very many people who are here, mortgage to get a car or to get a house is not the first priority. If you go on the streets of Lagos, if you go on the streets of Benin and so very many other cities, you have young men and women who are on the street hawking stuff on their head every single day.
That's why I'm actually very particular about government.
Right.
You know, because if it's coming from the government perspective, it could be very affordable.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a mansion. It doesn't have to be something big.
Right.
Of course, what are the structures they can put in place to say, okay, this is what we want to do. Let's put A and B together so that Nigerians can also.
Of course. No doubt there are possibilities to do this. We just have to find a way to come to the situation to realize that, yes, these are what the people need, and this is what we can do to further that. Otherwise, if you do not take it serious, that is a serious problem that needs to be addressed, then you cannot conceivably develop a solution to deal with it. I think the seriousness has to come not only from the government, but from the people. The people should advocate for it, they should agitate for it, and then let's see where it takes us.
Okay, thank you very much. If you're just joining us, this is Across Borders, and we've been speaking with Dr. Sonny Onweyeke. Okay, so he has actually been talking around international labor migration, but we want to go on a short break at the moment. When we come back, we'll continue where we are dropping the question at the moment. Just stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Just in case you're just joining us, this is Across Borders, and we've been having a conversation with Dr. Sunday Onweyeke, and we're speaking on international labor migration. So before we went on break, I think we spoke about how we could replicate what they do over abroad here in Nigeria. We're talking about mortgaging either a car or house and all of that. But we want to move to the next question quite very quick. I want to ask you, how can host countries and communities effectively integrate migrant workers? Let me take this again. I'll take this again. So how can host countries and communities effectively integrate migrant workers socially and culturally, and what are some successful models for promoting social cohesion and inclusion? Is that very clear?
Right. This is an interesting question, because there is the experiences that some of us have made that is generating a little bit of attention when it comes to the issue of integration. On the general level, you will see a country like Germany says, if you are a refugee here, if you're a migrant here, you need to integrate. And they provide, to some extent, language courses for some people to learn the language, because language is always the means to integration. All right. You would expect then that when they learn the language, they are gradually integrated into the society and all that. They are settling down and all that. But it doesn't take away the fact that Germany as a country remains very hostile to migrants and refugees in particular, and African refugees more specifically, so to speak. So if you look at it, on the one hand you think, yeah, they preach this integration of a thing, but in practice they are actually preaching isolation, right? So that becomes very difficult to reconcile. If you think, yes, this is a society that welcomes migrants and they want them to settle down here, they want them to integrate into this society. That is on the one hand. Even among those that have integrated properly, right? You realize integration is not enough. They want you to assimilate. What does that mean? They want you to forget everything about where you come from and your cultures entirely, and pick up theirs as the sole representative of what you abide by and stuff like that, which is very difficult for very many of us, because we as Africans, or basically anybody from other cultures, you don't just isolate somebody from the culture this person comes from, right? Part of you is always where you come from, who you are. That is what makes you this person that you are. In a way, many of these European countries want you to leave everything there behind and only follow whatever it is that is prescribed for you there. So it becomes very difficult to reconcile this idea of integration and all they preach on that level. So there is some tension in that, in that regard. The other thing about this is that some of us are not very keen to integrate into this society, because what do we see? We see a high level of racist practices, racism, discrimination, and all this. These are part and parcel of these European societies. And some of us feel, no, I don't even want to learn your language because I don't want to integrate into this racist society. That is why some of us refused to learn the language, for example, and we didn't want to be integrated into the German society. So while there may be things that, yeah, it's encouraging to get you to speak the language because you can then have a better chance of working or whatever. But at the end, you have to realize that you come from a different society, a different culture, with different values actually, right? Which they just want you to deposit somewhere and go with whatever they prescribe to you. So it's difficult to recommend, yes, this is a good practice that we could import from there or whatever. It's very difficult to make such recommendation.
All right, so you talked about language, learning a language.
Right.
Maybe some of their cultures. So that would take me to talking about access and education and healthcare.
Right.
I mean the migrant workers.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the challenges? Because
Right.
when you say, oh, they want you to learn these things, they want you to, do they have them at their disposal? Do you just have these things directly available for you to get in? So what are those challenges that migrant workers face when it comes to accessing the healthcare and the education?
Right. The point to note with this is the access to the services that are available basically depends on your legal status. If you've got a resident permit, for example, you will be entitled to go to whatever school, whatever university, whatever vocational studies you may want to pursue. You have the right to work, of course, and the type of work you may want to do will depend on your interest and your qualifications and stuff like that. That is generally so. But the thing you find is that very many times people are pushed out of the system. You may be in Germany or some other European countries for 10, 15 years, and you are still not having a stable legal status. With that, you are not readily able to do what you would like to do. You are left in a limbo, for example, and if you don't have a stable legal status, which enables you to access full health care and educational opportunities and stuff like this. So that is the way it is. But if you have the legal status, of course, this is readily available. Everybody in Germany will be insured, so to speak, if you are not pushed out of the system already at some point in time.
Okay. So you're talking about the legal status. So it also has to do with policies.
Right.
So I want to ask, what are the immigration policies and regulations in different countries regarding legal immigration? And of course, how can government create more effective and humane immigration policies? Because I think that's very important.
Yeah, it is. It is important, and we've been trying to say this for a very long time. You know, if you look at what has been happening for decades now, so to speak, with African migrants crossing from sub-Sahara Africa, crossing the Sahara Desert, crossing the North African boundaries, crossing the Mediterranean Sea to go to Europe, you realize, okay, there is a lot of things missing here. You know, many of our young men and women have died. Many have been trafficked along this route. Many have been raped, men and women, not just women, in the process. And of course, you don't even see or hear of many of them because they simply perish right in the Mediterranean Sea or in the desert before they get to the Mediterranean Sea, right? If you look at this, this is nothing more than the policies. This is effectively the result of the policies, migration policies that are pursued by the European Union, right? You've got the Frontex, which is guarding the European borders with air, water, and land security apparatus. So this is the work of the European Union. They are responsible for the deaths, for the African deaths that you see on the Mediterranean Sea, that you see in the Sahara Desert. Now, this is nothing surprising because their migration policies is geared towards excluding and not allowing Africans to come into Europe. This is essentially what it is. They don't want Africans to come to Europe. And they can couch this in different phrases or words or whatever. All the different agreements that they make with African countries, from North Africa to the Central Africa, it is all aimed at preventing migrants, African migrants coming from sub-Saharan Africa to Europe. That is why even when they manage to cross all these hurdles on the way to Europe, they get into the Mediterranean Sea, their boats are sinking or whatever, they do not offer help. Even when they are obliged to, by the rule of international law, they refuse to do it. Not only do they refuse to do it, for those of us as private citizens who then take on the responsibility of helping those in distress on the sea, they are being persecuted and prosecuted in the law court every time. You see, what does this mean? What it means is that this obligation of European states to help those in distress on the high sea, they abdicate this, right? And then they prosecute actually in the courts, those private citizens who want to help those on the high sea. The thing is to say that the lives of these Africans being lost on the high sea doesn't matter anything to us. Because if you look at what is actually happening in a country like Germany, if you drove on the highway and you saw an accident, and this accident is there while you drove past, and you didn't stop to call for help, if you are found, you will be fined for not offering help. And now you see a situation where Africans are dying on the high sea. They not only refuse to rescue them and help them out of this distress, they punish those who try to help them. So that is a stark reality of what we experience in Europe. And I think many people in Africa are still not very well versed about all this. And this is why I think there is a need for us to re-educate ourselves so much, to learn so much about what is actually happening in our relations with Europe.
All right, thank you very much. I think there's an area I want to speak to, going to what you just said.
Right.
And that gives me a lot of concern. When you say a lot of lives have been lost on the sea, most especially the Africans.
Right.
So what is the place of the government? I mean, African governments. Let's not streamline it to either Nigeria, Ghana, So how do they account for these people? These are humans. These are humans. They leave their home country, going for in search of a greener pasture. Right. Yes, we talked about policy earlier, and I know that it is because of policies around, and people will just feel, okay, probably I can do it this way because this policy cannot accommodate me, so let me do it this way. Right. What is the role of the government in ensuring that those people, even though we know the parts they might use parts that are not too right. I think there's a name. Someone our last guest said, is it illegal? He said it's not illegal. Yeah. Irregular. Okay, that's irregular the word now. So they use the irregular route, to migrate. Right. Notwithstanding, they are humans.
Right. Exactly.
What is the place of the government in fixing all of this?
That is the problem. We are operating in a system where you have this imbalance of power. The power relations between the so-called Western countries, the so-called European countries, the Western developed countries, and the power that African countries and other countries have in relation to them is quite imbalanced, right? Because of that, you have institutions, international agreements, and very many other stuff that is lopsided to the benefit of these so-called developed countries. Europeans can easily get a visa one way or the other and be in Nigeria, be in Ghana, be in Africa, and everywhere. Because we cannot readily just get the visas to travel, and people have to take this route. That is the reason. We are advising them, open these borders and let people travel. Don't think that we are going to stay there. Very many Nigerians who went to London to travel to study in the 50s, 60s, they never stayed there. They did their studies and came back home. Why do you think we like your cold? We don't like this stuff that we are living there. We don't want to stay there, right? Open these borders, let us come, do whatever we want to do, however we want to do it, and we'll come back. But they think we are going to come there to stay there and take all their money. Actually, the money is not there. The money is actually here, which they are stealing from us.
Wow.
That is the reality, right?
Okay.
So if you look at it like this, you see the government has a responsibility to ensure the primary responsibility of the government is taking care of its citizens, right? And if your government can abandon you, as you do often find in many African countries, then what do you expect others to do? So it is not only here, it is also there. I remember a few years ago, there were the camps in North Africa, in Libya, where human beings, able-bodied men like me and others here, were being sold for forced labor. And you know who is funding those paramilitary groups doing this? The European Union is doing this. It's funding them. So we have to understand that they don't necessarily want us at all in this place. And so when we say we want to go to Europe, we want to go to wherever and make a better living, we have to understand the risks and dangers that's associated with it.
Okay, so when you say they don't want Africans there, well, I don't know. I don't quite agree, and I think I have my reasons. Recently, I read an article or a release where in the United States, I think in Maryland, they want to include a dialect from Nigeria, like Yoruba specifically,
right,
into the I think the
curriculum,
transportation screening
right,
process.
right.
So and that is to accommodate Nigerians or other people that could speak Yoruba.
Yeah.
So in that way, they are saying, come.
Yeah, the thing is, when you have these isolated incidences, right, or instances, these are issues that have been dealt with on the superficial level. On the structural level, you see that we are at a huge disadvantage. And at the structural level is where we find the problem. You know, the German Constitution says the dignity of the human being can never be violated, right? This is written in the very first page of the German Constitution. But look at how refugees are being treated in Germany or in Europe as a whole, right? There is no way you violate the rights of refugees more than what you are seeing in all these countries. So they can deal with it superficially to say, look at how much we are welcoming people here and so forth and so on. But if you go into it, you realize it's a total contradiction of what they preach, right? They do not practice what they preach. And that is why we are advising them. We are telling them, open the legal route for migration and save the lives that have been destroyed on the sea and in the Mediterranean, in the Sahara Desert. You know, they do know it. It's not as if they don't know it. They do know it. At the same time, they are depending on the labor, on the cheap labor that is coming from these countries. Not long ago, I think in the UK, the new Prime Minister, they were putting out advertisement for teachers to come from Nigeria, Ghana, India, and all that, because they are short of teachers. They want to take teachers from these countries to come and help teach in their country with annual salaries that is quite competitive, let's put it like that. You understand? So if you look at all this, there is a contradiction between what they actually preach and what they do, and at the same time, there's the dilemma of wanting to embrace this and not wanting to really open up to it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sunday. It's been an amazing conversation all along. And I would like us to watch a video.
Right.
Because this is the segment we are going into now. It's the real-time segment.
Good.
Where people share personal experience. I want you to watch this video, and after now, we'll respond. I mean, you're going to respond to some questions coming from around the video.
Great.
Let's go.
I started the process, and it took me like 3-4 years to be able to scale through. And on getting to Canada, I had to go into the labor market looking for jobs, trying to survive. But it took me a couple of months. It took me a month to get a job, and when I got the job, it was not really what I wanted. But coming in from Nigeria as an engineer and getting down here, starting the job of an housekeeper, which is doing the housekeeping in an hotel. And the difference between that and that of Nigeria is that you are comfortable with what you're doing, your employer respects you, they give you all the respect you deserve most times. But sometimes if you meet some racists, they resist you at work, but that doesn't stop you from not still working. But it's not a major thing right here in Canada. It's just one of those things, but it's not very obvious that you're being racist. But more better than coming back from Nigeria, because they don't hold you salary, they don't hold you wages, they pay you at when due, and the work you do is being appreciated. And for the difference between the workplace in Canada and in Nigeria, the difference is that Nigeria, we really make mess of our times. We don't really use the time work for the purpose of what it's being meant for. Like right here, every time counts because they pay you per hour and they expect you to make use of every hour that you have. Break is very important, and you have to observe your break at all time. In the other aspect of it is interesting, but sometimes you don't enjoy what you're doing. But because you have to pay bills, because you have to work, because bills will be waiting, and that makes you have to do what you have to do. Not that because you're happy with what you're doing, but because you just have to do it. At that time, maybe that is what is available. You make do with what is available, and that is just the rest. But the most important thing is that you are paid at when due. They don't owe you salary, they don't owe you wages, and one thing is they respect you at workplace. So working abroad or migrating abroad to start working is something that is more respected here than that of in Nigeria. Because like in Nigeria, you have to know somebody before you get a job. But like right here, you see it, you apply, you qualify, they pick you, and that's it. Because they believe in everything that you do, they still train you to their own taste. They still give you the orientation that you need for the job. They still give you every requirement, all the safety that requires you on the job. They make you understand what you're supposed to do. So that's just about working abroad. That's it. Thank you.
That was it.
Yeah.
And this video will take me to talking about ethical consideration.
Right.
So, there are different sides to a coin.
Right.
To me, I might be seeing the A part and it might be seeing the other part,
Right.
which is B. So, but we want to speak to the video we've just watched.
Right.
This person has explained that, over here though it's not easy, but their times have been respected.
Mm-hmm.
They themselves they've been respected for what they do. And
Yeah.
in fact, they even have to train them.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just start by asking, okay, ethical consideration surrounding labor migration,
Right.
such as recruitment and treatment of migrant workers,
Mm-hmm.
to ensure fair and just practices in the global labor market.
Right.
While you talk around this briefly, I want you to also bring it back home. The video was just one.
Right.
I'm bringing it down.
Mm-hmm.
So he talked about the respect and appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that we have it here? It's our home. We are
Right.
home.
Right.
There's this adage in Yoruba where they say the white hen or white chicken is not being respected
Mhm.
at home.
Exactly.
So you see people putting a lot of effort, and you still don't give them the respect that
Yeah.
they deserve. But this
Right.
person is saying, way back there, the respect is there. Okay, so speak to this and also address this video.
Yeah.
thing.
I appreciate the sincerity of the person who was speaking on this video, and I also appreciate that he putting this out for others to know what is happening.
Yeah, but you want to remain
on this.
anonymous.
Sure, which is great. I respect that
Okay.
privacy. You see, part of what he spoke to is already what I was talking about before. He said, at some point, you experience racism in the office, in the place of work, right? You may wonder, what does it mean? If you are getting your money anyway, I mean, that's it. But there is nothing more. There is nothing more valuable than individual human dignity. You understand? And when you experience racism, this can eat very well into you for a long time with last-longing effect. Many of us don't see that as a big deal because here, many of us don't experience what we call racism in that sense. Okay? Now, the thing is, there are also places here where you also earn respect for the work you do, right? It's not particularly only there in Canada or in the Western world countries where this happens. Disrespect, insult, and all that also go with the territory in many of these countries. It's not one-sided, right? But it is also true that because we are not paying, we are not appreciating the value of the labor that we have here, and therefore we can afford to approach it the way we do here. We can definitely improve. There is no doubt about that, you know. And the thing we have to understand with this is that he has found himself in the situation where, as an engineer, he is doing a work of basically, of basically a lay person's work, right? Dealing with home care, cleaning, and stuff like that. This is not the work that an engineer would do in Nigeria, right? So if an engineer were to do that in Nigeria, imagine it. It will be something different. Nobody went to university to study for 5, 6, 7 years to come and be a cleaner, right? But the particular situation that forced him out of here has made him to accept that kind of low-level job that he's now doing. He wouldn't have settled for that somewhere else. So it brings back the responsibility to our country, to our leaders in this country. How can we allow our children to be trained from primary school through secondary school to universities and get a degree only to end up being a cleaner or a taxi driver somewhere else? You know what I mean? So we have to make provision where these people are being adequately employed in this country.
All right, thank you very much. I think before we call it a day, I'd like you to give your parting shot, most especially to people that still think migrating is the best option. Yes, it's not a crime. I mean, it's a right.
Sure.
I think I've learned that migrating is a right. So give a parting shot. What advice do you have for people out there?
For me, personally, I can also tell you a little bit about what I am planning to do here. My intention is to find a way to re-educate, to be involved in re-educating part of our populace about the reality of the relationship between we as a people and those that we see as the developed people in the so-called developed countries. Because there is a narrative that goes along with this that seems, in my opinion, to undervalue ourselves before the outsiders. And I don't think this is right, but this is not particularly to blame anybody, but to blame the system that trains us to look at white people and the white system as the best system for us, whereas as Africans, we and our values are, our values are more suitable to us as a yardstick of judgment of who we are than looking forward to judge ourselves with European standards, which is actually, I would say, inferior to us. Right. So I would be very keen to be involved in kind of letting people realize where we are with this whole discourse, and being involved and being engaged in that kind of a field, I would feel quite important to do. The other thing is I work currently, I also lecture at the university, visiting lecturer in 2 universities in Germany, but I also do empowerment training. We're in a situation where many people feel they haven't got anything, they haven't got certificate, they haven't got houses and stuff like this, and therefore there's nothing, they don't have any power. I would like to do some empowerment work here for people to understand the power that they hold. You know, there's much power in self-organizing of the populace themselves, to agitate and advocate for themselves rather than looking forward to one politician to come and solve the problem and all that. I'm very interested in doing this grassroots work where people can really get together, define what they want, and try to strive and advocate for it. And this is part of the work I'm doing. I've been doing this there now in Europe for quite a long time. I would also like to do something like that here in Nigeria and other parts of Africa.
Oh yes, I must say a very big thank you to you, Dr. Sunday Onweyeke, for your time and insightful information that you've shared with us here today on the program Across Borders. Yes, definitely, I know you must have picked a couple of information that will be useful. I wouldn't say 1 or 2. Yes, couple of it. Yes, that will be useful for you. And of course, we'll be coming your way again next week on Across Borders with an exciting topic that will be turning things around for you. Dr. Sunday Onweyeke is a human rights activist and a veteran of the refugee. Thank you once again for coming.
Thank you so much.
Until next time, stay positive, stay open-minded, and be motivated. I remain Grace Komalafe. Do have an amazing time. Bye.
social media, many Nigerian young companies were celebrating, wow, we raised Series C, we raised Series D. And anytime they raised these monies, everybody hailed them. But what was behind it? What is behind every raise is that the entrepreneur founder is diluted significantly. We had a very interesting session, and in one of the sessions, there was a role play about a case study on CWG PLC, which is a company that I founded. And the case was written by Columbia Business School to discuss a point about venturing, about entrepreneurship, and about funding for the enterprise. And the case ended on a question: should Austin Okere take the venture capital investment or should he reject it? Just a little bit of background.